From tasty donuts in Los Angeles
Whoa, dude.
to Chicago's famous chocolate cake shake. Here are some of the world's best sweets to add to your bucket list.
The Portillo's location here in Summit, Illinois is known as the chain's sweetest subway.
In this location, depending on the day, we're going to go through anywhere from 60 to 200 of these a day, probably. On the weekends, we sometimes make over 100 cakes on a Saturday morning.
That's Kara Crones. She's been with Portillo's for 9 years and has been making the cakes and cake shakes ever since she started working here.
It's extremely chocolatey and decadent. It's very moist, very delicious.
People are still shocked when you tell them, hey, we bake these on site fresh.
The cake mix starts with its dry ingredients: baking cocoa flour, baking powder, and baking soda.
There's always been this rumor that Portillo's cake has mayo in it to make it so moist.
I ain't no culinary expert, but I heard mayo is a big thing on that.
Can you dispel those rumors if it isn't true?
I can't tell you what the secret ingredient is.
Okay.
Someone might kill me. No, I'm just kidding.
The real secret is in the mixing. Portillo's mixes the batter at 3 different rates: low, medium, and then high. This is to incorporate deep pockets of air into the mixture to give it that famous fluffy texture.
When it gets towards the end, you kind of get the start of that smell of chocolate cake. You're like, oh, it's almost done. It's Portillo's chocolate cake time. You got to check on it towards the end, about 28 to 29 minutes, because nobody wants overcooked chocolate cake. So when the cakes come out of the oven, we've got to pop them out of the pan so they can finish their cooling so they don't overcook in there. So we're going to just give it a good hearty tap on the side, and then we're going to flip it into our hand, and then we're going to take it and we're going to put it on this cooling rack here, and then we can frost it because we don't want melty frosting.
The frosting that goes on a Portillo's chocolate cake is not homemade and is in fact just your traditional classic fudge frosting.
So we're going to first put a tiny little dot on the bottom to help the cake stick, and then we're going to flip it upside down so that the finished product has a more even look, and so the 2 pieces stick together. So we're almost making a hamburger out of the cake. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our first pound of frosting and we're going to spread it out as evenly as we can.
And did you say pound of frosting?
I did.
Okay, so there's 2 pounds of frosting.
2 pounds of frosting on every Portillo's chocolate cake.
Wow.
And then we're going to take our second pound of frosting and we're going to put it on top and wrap it around all the sides. But we're not really going for perfection, we're going for homemade.
I'm not into sweets, but this is good.
This is very good. All along that I've been going to Portillo's, I usually get a piece of chocolate cake.
So you have to eat beef
Yeah.
and beer and cake in that order, though. It's good.
It's
I
good.
like it. Though.
Yes.
Their frosting really does it. Some
Yeah,
cakes it's just kind of like too whippy or something. And it's
Yeah,
just
I'm not a big fan of like the whipped cream, so the frosting kind of does it. And just the cake itself,
It's super moist.
It's moist and spongy.
Sweetie, when your lunch is done. Thank you. It hits the spot every time. I remember as a kid, at all of our family parties, we would have Portillo's cake. The cake itself isn't as overwhelmingly sweet as you would think it would be based on what we saw in the kitchen. It's like, a subtle taste of chocolate, and the frosting is really what adds the sweetness to it. There's enough frosting to last you the entire cake. This is literally the perfect guilty pleasure for anyone wanting to eat their feelings. This is it.
But you can't just eat Portillo's chocolate cake. You gotta try their cake shake. According to Kara, back when Portillo's started making Gina Portillo's cake recipe, they could only serve them the day they were made, because that's about how long they stayed fresh for. So a manager by the name of Dale Phillips thought it would be a great idea to utilize the leftovers.
They started putting pieces of cake into a cake shake, and they started selling it, and it's been a success ever since. We're going to grab our cup. We're going to give it a tiny little bit of shake mix in the bottom.
And what is that shake mix?
Vanilla ice cream, pretty much. We're going to take our whole piece of cake,
The entire piece?
an entire piece of cake.
That's amazing.
We're going to put it all in this cup with this little bit of vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
The moment people find out that we put a piece of cake in a shake, their mind is blown.
My mind was blown today. I'm from Chicago, and I feel like a lot of people don't even know that Portillo's has a cake shake.
No, they don't.
And I only equate the cake shake to Portillo's.
So the whole thing is gonna go in. We're gonna make sure they get all their delicious frosting.
This is why I love Chicago.
Then we're gonna even add some of our chocolate syrup in there. So it's chocolate on chocolate. We're gonna add a little more shake mix.
All right.
A little bit on the bottom so the cake doesn't get stuck in the bottom and then you just get big chunks. And then a little bit more, and then we're gonna mix. It's gonna break up some of the chunks of that piece of cake that's in there so you can actually drink it through a straw or with your spoon on the side. You wanna be able to have somebody drink this in their car when they're leaving the drive-thru. You want a little bit of thick chunks in there just for a bite, but not a lot. And then we're gonna put a little more on to top it off.
Okay.
And then we're gonna mix. And voila, chocolate cake shake.
It's chewy, it's good.
It's good.
It's good. Now I don't know.
I like it when you get the chunks in there, and especially if it's like the chunks of frosting. Oh.
Yeah, chunks just gotta suck extra hard.
The rumors are true. They do indeed put an entire cake slice into the cake shake, which is amazing. And the best part of the cake shake, for me at least, is that each sip comes with bits and chunks of the chocolate cake itself. So it really feels like you're drinking an entire cake slice. I know that sounds like a lot to some people, but it's so yummy, it's so tasty, and I recommend it 100%. The best thing that complements the cake shake at Portillo's are the fries. You literally dip the fries in your cake shake, and you take a bite, and you get the perfect combination of sweet and savory. You get the crunch of the fry, and the soft mushiness of the cake shake itself. So good. Portillo's for me, as a kid, was always comfort food. It was always, something that reminded me of home, and a place where I could come with all my friends, whether I was in high school, whether I was in college. There was just so much variety, but also the food was just always good. Especially the cake shake, and the fries. These three might not be on the iconic 5 list of Portillo's, but to me, they're the famous 3. This is why I miss the Midwest. No one cares about the calorie count. You just taste good food, and you eat good food, and you just eat what makes you happy.
So I have been scouring the internet to find everyone's recommendations of what ice cream parlors I should try. I read Yelp and a bunch of articles, and I've narrowed down the final 4 that, weirdly enough, I haven't tried before. So those 4 are Sweet Rose Creamery, Mochi Malone's, Wanderlust Creamery, and Fossilman's Ice Cream. So, without further ado, let this ice cream journey begin.
Our first stop on our ice cream journey is here at Sweet Rose Creamery. Sweet Rose Creamery has been here since 2010, and they were founded right here in Santa Monica with a total of 5 locations throughout Los Angeles. So what's really cool is that they're using all fresh ingredients from the Santa Monica Farmers Market, and it's coming right here to the ice cream shop where they're making the ice cream fresh daily, and it comes straight to the counter and into your waffle cone.
In the kitchen, everything is made from scratch, starting from fresh eggs right down to the dairy base. We watch them prepare their classic mint chip ice cream. The shop is always changing up its seasonal flavors.
All right, so we have the mint chip ice cream that we made in a waffle bowl covered in sprinkles. The flavor of the mint really pops out at you more than the cream. And I think it's because we're using like really fresh ingredients. It's not like the artificial mint flavors that you find in gum or if you find in other ice cream. You get the fresh flavor, but it is not overwhelmingly minty.
Now, it's time to visit Mochi Malone's Ice Cream. Mochi and Mehdi Shervani are credited for introducing Persian ice cream to LA.
I'm Mehdi Shervani, the older brother I came here before the revolution in Iran. In 1980, I opened this business. I did the saving. I bought the business from the landlord, and I started making ice cream for local Iranian. Every single person I was giving them samples. That's how I built my business.
We don't create like weird flavors. It's mostly floral or fruit-based or herbal-based, things like that. Some of our ingredients come from overseas, from different countries. We get ingredients from Iran if there's no sanction, from the Persian Gulf area, from Lebanon, from India. We get so many herbs and spices.
The best seller, the saffron pistachio rosewater ice cream. The shop uses imported saffron from Iran.
Right now there is sanction, but right before sanction we bought enough for the next couple of years.
They grind the saffron and put it in hot water overnight. It's mainly used for the color of the ice cream.
These are my food coloring. Okay? These are my food, all natural.
But it's natural.
Yeah, everything is natural, yeah.
They sprinkle their secret herb blend into every ice cream.
Just little, that's how much sugar.
The key ingredient is the rose water.
The rose was very unusual and unknown to American cuisine. They'd never heard of rose water. So it took him and us so much sampling and kind of lecturing about the ingredients, so those who are not familiar with the flavor to kind of accept that rose can be eaten too. It's just like vanilla. But the thing is, vanilla is more popular here, rose is more popular in the other parts of the world.
And finally, they add the pistachios.
So we're gonna try the classic mochi ice cream sandwich. This is 2 wafers with saffron ice cream rolled in pistachios. This is their most popular flavor for years, and I'm really excited to taste it. It's really nice because you get little chunks of pistachios that were blended into the ice cream, but also whole pistachios all around the sides. It kind of gives that nice balance from like the creamy ice cream to the crunchy pistachio. The texture, this gets an A+. It is just creamy and stretchy. It's so satisfying. Wow.
From Hollywood to Tarzana, it's time to try Wanderlust Creamery.
Wanderlust Creamery is an artisanal ice cream shop, and all of our flavors are inspired by travel. We've been in LA now for about 3 years. I'll think of a place I've been or somewhere I want to go. I'm inspired by childhood memories and also other people's travels. When my friends come back from different places, they tell me about, oh my God, I had this amazing dessert in Sardinia, or I had this ice cream flavor in Japan, and then I'll do a little bit of research and then I'll go from there.
Some of the flavors include sticky rice and mango, inspired by Thailand, Japanese Neapolitan, smoky road, inspired by the Pacific Northwest, pretzel rugbrod, inspired by Iceland, and passion fruit and cacao, inspired by Brazil. We watched them prepare one of the seasonal flavors, breakfast at Café du Monde, inspired by New Orleans. For the breakfast at Café du Monde, they steep the ice cream base with French roast coffee and Café du Monde chicory coffee. Then they mix the ice cream with pieces of fried beignets.
Wow, this is really good. It is a very strong coffee flavor. If you love coffee ice cream, this is like 10 steps higher than that. The bitterness of the coffee really balances out the sweetness of the ice cream.
What I'm really here to see is the flight around the world. It's a sampler that includes a variety of 14 flavors on mini cones.
I'm really interested in the ube malted crunch from the Philippines. Wow, raspberry lychee rose sorbet from Paris. This isn't really citrusy. This is more fruity, I would say. It's very floral, it's very light on your palate, but the flavor is very strong. This is a very powerful matcha flavor. Really good. Really, really good.
Artisanal ice cream is really big in the city, but we're one of the few artisanal ice cream shops that are actually from LA. So I think that resonates with a lot of Angelinos.
I'm like a big Yelp person, so I like Yelped it. Yeah, this place got amazing reviews. It has really good reviews, and it definitely lives up to the hype, honestly. It's really good.
I got ube and violet marshmallow. I just love all the different flavors and how it's like around the world and they all taste extremely good.
LA is a big mixing pot of cultures, and we just want to have something for everybody.
And last but not least, we're visiting one of the oldest ice cream shops in LA, Fosselman's Ice Cream Company. If you love watching old-timey movies and visiting historical spots, this is your place. Christian Fosselman started Fosselman's Ice Cream Company in 1919 in Waverly, Iowa. In 1921, he moved his business to sunny California. Today, the ice cream parlor still remains a family business. The minute you step inside, it's like walking into an old-fashioned soda fountain shop that includes candy, saltwater taffy, swirled lollipops, and a bunch of historical memorabilia along the walls. And the ice cream? Well, that's literally a labor of love.
We make a whole huge variety of ice creams. We do probably 200 plus flavors. And so we work with chefs from country clubs, hotels, restaurants, things like that. So they'll come up with unique ideas of something they might want on their menu. And then we also listen to a lot of our customers in the retail stores. Because of the diversity of LA, we've changed a lot of flavors we never thought we'd make. So we do a lot of Asian flavors. We do taro root, lychee, black sesame, red bean. Do a lot of Latin flavors, horchata, Oaxacan chocolate, dulce de leche. So that's kind of reflected a lot of probably the last 20, 30 years of where we've kind of changed or modified what we do. And then we still do all the old-fashioned, English toffee, lemon custard, rum raisin, things like that. So it kind of has just evolved over time.
All the ice cream is made in-house. Once the ice cream is ready, 2 employees simultaneously add and mix the additional ingredients. This keeps the ingredients like chocolate chips, cookie dough, red velvet cake, and maraschino cherries from breaking into tiny pieces.
My dad always used to say, make it so good they can't resist it. And I think it's because we haven't changed our ingredients as far as cheapening things. We've always stayed true to a super premium ice cream, which is 16% butterfat, never compromised quality.
We got a classic banana split. I figured it would be the best thing to get at a classic ice cream parlor. Classic. So good. I love when places get the classic flavors right. Like, you can't really be a good ice cream place if you can't get strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla perfect, because those are probably like the most popular flavors.
There's been so many generations that come in where we've seen parents bringing their little kids in who end up working for us as like a 2nd or 3rd generation employee. We just remodeled for our 100th anniversary, and it's kind of this give and take where people were like, don't change anything. We want it to look like it did 50 years ago, but you have to evolve with time too. So, but it's that historical thing that they want to remember what it was like when they were 10 or 15 or now they're 50. So it's cool that we've seen that, transpire over the years.
I feel like I'm on a movie set for like the 1950s, 1960s. It's kind of like being in a time machine the minute you step into the ice cream parlor. So I've had some time to think about all the ice cream that I've eaten, and now it's the hardest part because I have to pick a favorite and I really can't. All the places that we visited were so delicious and so unique from one another. I'm really happy I have like 4 new places to try, but we have to pick a favorite, so let's narrow them down.
The first place we tried was Sweet Rose Creamery, and I think they did the best job incorporating the freshest ingredients into their ice cream. I'd compare their ice cream to a smoothie because of the fresh mint or citrus that they used, rather than tasting like artificial flavors you can taste from store-bought ice cream. For Mochi Malone, they definitely had the most unique ice cream flavors like saffron rosewater, date, and lavender. The shop also felt so authentic to LA. It's one of the older ones on our list, and it still has that simple, homey feel to it. For Wanderlust, I loved their flight around the world. I think it's such a genius concept to include mini ice cream cones from all over the world. It's definitely a really fun ice cream tasting experience. And Fosselman's by far has the most interesting ice cream making process I've seen. They claim to make everything the old-fashioned way, and that's exactly what they did in the kitchen and out at the counter when you order. But this is the best of the best in Los Angeles, and if I had to pick a winner out of those four, it has to be Mochi Malone. So Mochi Malone's obviously had the most unique flavors I've ever tried. And while the ice cream was sweet, all the flavors really came through, like the rose water in the saffron ice cream, or like rich cocoa in the chocolate. So I loved their specialty flavors and I loved their classic flavors. Mochi Malone's is such a uniquely LA shop that you can only find here. Like, you can get great ice cream anywhere, but if you want to find the best in LA, you have to go to Mochi's. But that being said, these four places are literally the best in LA, so you're not losing if you go to any of these places, and I think you should try all of them. And the good thing is that they're all in different parts of LA, and if you live in LA or have been to LA, you know getting around town is really annoying. So it's really nice that I have 4 new ice cream places to go to no matter where I am in LA.
Here in New York City, Junior's is an institution. But its cheesecakes aren't actually made in the city anymore. In 2015, the company moved to this New Jersey plant.
When we took over this building, because we didn't have the space to do it out of Queens.
240 workers whip up millions of cheesecakes and layer cakes here every year. Not surprisingly, every batch starts with the most important ingredient.
This year we'll probably go through about 7 million pounds of cream cheese.
Junior's partners with Kraft Heinz, the maker of Philadelphia cream cheese. Workers unwrap each of those giant blocks of cream cheese and tip them into the mixing bowl.
So far we have cream cheese, we have sugar, we have eggs. Still to come, we have some heavy cream, some vanilla, and I think that's just about it. It's kind of simple.
Workers roll these giant mixing bowls over to the assembly line. To speed up production, Alan added automatic depositors.
It gets pumped up here into here. This is going to meter out exactly the right amount.
First, workers drop a slice of vanilla cake, not graham cracker crust, into each pan.
We use cake on the bottom because this is a recipe that my grandfather created in 1950. It's a lot of work just to make the bottoms.
Slowly, the pump works its way through the entire batch of batter, plopping perfect dollops into each pan. Then this guy knocks out any excess air. On this line, they're making strawberry swirl cheesecake. The swirl used to be piped by hand, but this robot took over the gig in 2017. Next, the cakes head to baking, but this step also has a unique twist.
A lot of bakeries use rack ovens, where you just slide the whole rack in, you slide the whole rack out. It doesn't work for our cheesecake.
His team bakes the dense cakes in a water bath.
Spreads the heat evenly. The bottoms of the cakes don't burn. They rise up like a souffle. You can see how the cakes are literally above the pan.
When they're golden brown, workers pull out the trays and pour out leftover water. Then they test the internal temperature.
They take temperatures for food safety, but I can see with my eyes.
After they've rested, the cakes aren't jiggly anymore.
We don't do jiggly, we do Juniors.
Using this repurposed pizza oven, bakers can heat the pans just enough to release the settled cakes.
After the cheesecakes get depanned, we bring them into our blast freezer.
Alan keeps it at a balmy 0 degrees inside. But it's not just plain or swirl cheesecakes in this freezer. The company whips up dozens of different flavors of cheesecakes, layer cakes, and desserts. The chocolate mousse cheesecake is hit with a heaping pile of mousse, doused in a waterfall of chocolate and covered in mini chocolate chips. There's also the pumpkin layer cake cheesecake. Robots and bakers work together to ice it. Leftover cake tops are ground up to make the crumb that goes around the edges. All the finished and chilled cakes converge on the packaging line, from the pumpkin cheesecake to the 24 mini cheesecake variety pack bound for Costco. Workers place each cake in a box, slap on a label, and put it in an even bigger box. That all heads to the freezer a second time. This will all be gone within 30 days.
Right now it's enough space, but I can see maybe next year us needing even more space. This is going around the whole country.
Most of the 6-inch cheesecakes end up in one of the 12,000 supermarkets supplied by Juniors.
From Wegmans to Kroger, Publix, Stop and Shop, ShopRite.
Alan's grandfather, Harry Rosen, opened up the first Juniors location on Election Day in 1950.
He said, if we're going to be a great restaurant in New York, we have to have great cheesecake. Some people venture to guess that my grandfather named it after his two sons, Walter and Marvin, my father, my uncle, but Jews don't really do the junior thing, so that's a little out the window.
Over the next few decades, Junior's popularity soared. It wasn't long before celebrities and politicians were digging into these iconic slices.
We started a mail order business late 80s, okay, before food by mail was a thing, and people were calling from Florida and California. Then in 1995 we met QVC. They were doing a search for America's best products state by state. We went on and I think we sold 2,400 cheesecakes in like 6 or 7 minutes.
Today, Juniors has 4 restaurants in the New York area, a quick service at LaGuardia Airport, a direct-to-consumer business, and a booming retail presence.
Oh, we're definitely the biggest cheesecake company in New York. So the top seller in our restaurants is either strawberry cheesecake or New York style cheesecake.
Visitors from all over the world stop in for a slice.
Yeah, my name is Marvin. I'm from Germany. Brownie explosion cheesecake. I think it's like a full meal.
But keeping up with all this demand for cheesecake hasn't been easy, even for a giant like Juniors. In 2020, the pandemic shut down all of the restaurants.
I sort of joked with my mom that thankfully my dad was deceased before COVID, because COVID would have killed him, not the disease, but the fact that his restaurants, his babies, were not doing what they were supposed to do for, in some cases, 14 or 19 months.
At the time, the company's direct-to-consumer sales actually doubled. But then came the great cream cheese shortage of 2021.
Last year we started to, we heard about it, and then all of a sudden Jason calls me and says, there's no cream cheese. I'm like, what do you mean there's no cream cheese? You can't make cheesecake without cream cheese.
A cyber attack hit a cream cheese factory in Wisconsin. It wasn't Philadelphia's facility, but Kraft faced spiking demand and supply chain issues of its own. The company struggled to get a hold of starch thickeners and packaging materials. Without any cream cheese, Alan had to shut down the factory, and the team missed a couple of big orders.
And a couple of orders for us are trailers full, about 70,000 pounds, so it's a big deal. I was sweating it out pretty good.
By early 2022, Kraft had restored cream cheese supplies to Juniors.
So we are one of the biggest users of cream cheese in the country.
Just in time for inflation to hit.
Every ingredient is up right now, from eggs to sugar, heavy cream, but cream cheese is definitely the highest priced ingredient that we use right now.
Alan says the price Juniors pays for cream cheese more than doubled, from $1.50 a pound to over $3.
It's the demand, it's based off of the butter markets, and dairy prices are just very high right now, and that's why it's affecting the price of cream cheese.
Everything is up. Labor obviously is up.
Junior sales have bounced back to pre-pandemic levels, with $110 million in expected sales this year.
But costs have escalated so dramatically that profits in the restaurant business and the wholesale business are way down.
Alan said profit margins dropped by 6%.
Oh, it's brutal. No, there's no doubt. It is the hardest time in I've been doing this for 33 years, and I've never seen a time like this, ever.
So Alan made the decision to raise prices.
Our product cost has literally doubled for cheesecake. Doubled. We can't double our prices. That's impossible.
But Alan says higher retail prices haven't stopped customers.
No, not at all. I've had their cheesecake hundreds of times over many years, believe it or not, from when I was a kid.
Restaurants kind of around where we're from ordered this cheesecake to be shipped to Oklahoma City.
But even if food costs continue to rise, Alan says he'll never touch the recipe.
You know, we had to move people around and reschedule, but we're not changing any recipes here. That's never happening. Yeah. We'd sooner not make cake. Listen, we have a 72-year history of making cheesecake the exact way we're doing it, exactly the same way forever. We're not changing that.
So how does he plan to stay afloat? One, with those robots, and then with new products, from cheesecake shakes to updated cake flavors, like this strawberry Christmas cheesecake.
Oh my God, that is so good.
And finally, Alan says diversifying helped him weather the storms of recent years. Of course, Junior's has the restaurants, but what it makes from supermarket sales is quickly catching up.
I would say it's about 50-50. The restaurants drive about half the volume of the company, and this drives about half the volume of the company. I think the fact that we are diversified is what saved us.
But is this business sustainable if food prices keep increasing?
You know what? The tell will be in the next 3 months. I think it's sustainable because I'm a big believer in our business and how good we are at it, and that people are always going to want a cheesecake.
The pastéis you find all around Portugal are called pastéis de nata, but at this bakery they're called pastéis de Belém. Belém refers to this neighborhood where the tarts were invented, and no other bakery is allowed to use this name for its sweets. There are two reasons why the pastéis at this bakery stand out. The first one is their pastry, extremely flaky, slightly salty, and with a signature crunch. The second is their egg custard, more delicate, light, and not too sweet, which make these an ideal snack for any time of the day. To preserve the ancient recipe it inherited from the monastery, the Lisbon bakery keeps its pastry and custard recipes secret.
This is the secret part of the recipe, that it's made inside. Only 4 people work with the recipe. These are 4 people that we trust very much and that do this amazing work every day.
So how many people in total know the recipe? Like in here, but I guess in the world?
7.
From here, we don't know exactly what happened, but we can see that the dough is pretty wet. This is because of the egg yolks.
You can get
And then this dough will then be turned into like little pastéis.
Yes.
Okay, let's go see.
Yeah. we do it all with our hands. That is a big part of the secret.
When she goes in there and cuts it, inside you can see the little layers.
You see outside when it's cooked, you see them separated.
Still, I imagine there's still a lot of work with the dough. You have to create your layers and alternate and laminate with the butter. It's just a testament of what is happening in that little secret room. And how many pastéis would you get out of one piece of dough like this?
Luísa, quantos pastéis é que dá cada rolo? Não sabe?
Faz 3 tabuleiros, 60 por 60 são 120 e 180. Dá 3 tabuleiros deste, 60, não dá rolo?
Dá 3 tabuleiros de 60? Ok, 180, 180.
After being stretched, the little pieces of dough are placed in individual molds. Luisa and her colleagues go through over 22,000 of these a day.
In this room, it's only about like shaping the dough. Wow. Okay, so they must have very strong thumbs here.
Yeah.
So you just move it like this, yeah?
Press it.
Press it.
And then bring it out.
Bring it out. Because basically what you want to do is not having too thick. If you don't know what you're trying to get, if you don't know how thick the dough is to start, you can't just go in and be like, but yeah, there's lots of batter.
Time to wash those buttery hands and try to reveal another secret, the egg custard. We don't know for sure, but during my research, a lot of sources mentioned how this custard is made with milk, not cream, to make for a lighter and less sweet custard, which is meant to better complement the salty flavors of the pastry.
But we know that there are egg yolks inside, right? This is not a secret.
Yes, I can tell you that. Yes, actually, Not only the pastéis, but many sweets that are made in Portugal have egg yolks because in the convents, the nuns use the egg white to iron their suits and left the egg yolk and then use it to bake sweets. The monastery were not, as we think now, a place where people were only praying. Actually, they were places of commerce. Here in Belém, we had the caravels that came from the Brazil, and it was really full of people.
So, what do you think? Is it the pastry dough or perhaps the egg custard that makes the tarts different from the rest? Penelope told me the way to get this caramelized look is to bake the tarts in the oven at 400 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes.
And the pastéis are getting married. They put they put the two together, and they are ready for living.
Okay, so why do you do that? Why do you put one on top of the other?
Because they protect each other, and together they are stronger.
Okay, I see. And then when you go and sell them, though, you have to
No, they
separate.
go together.
Oh, they always go together.
Well, unless you have only one.
And just like you would join a married couple at the reception, I can't help but join the two pastéis in the bakery's cafe for a little tasting session.
Finally, we got to this part, which is the best part.
Of course,
okay.
It's always the best part.
And so now the pastéis go with the cinnamon that came from in the caravels, and then sprinkle with a little bit of sugar, and now they are ready to eat.
So you don't put any lemon or no?
No, no lemon.
It's so crunchy. It's actually very delicate as well. Yep. I really love the cream. You were saying the egg yolks and there's lots of eggs, so you would expect heavy cream, you know. But this is amazing because it's very, very delicate. Lots of layers.
We know when the pastel is good by the sound of it. They are not very sweet, they are very balanced and have the salty of the outside and then the sweet from the inside.
So these two pastéis, they were married and now
they are divorced.
Have another one.
Jersey Shore may have a bad rep, but its most redeeming quality is quite possibly its saltwater taffy. It's an old-school carnival snack that became popular in the late 1800s. Recipes that combined molasses or sugar, water, and butter were transformed into gummy ropes that were pulled by partners at each end. Founded in 1898, Shriver's Saltwater Taffy is the oldest business on the boardwalk in Ocean City.
This is the taffy cooking machine. I wish it had a more glamorous name, but it doesn't.
Candy makers add ingredients such as invert sugar, corn syrup, and fats like butter to a copper kettle and cook them at a temperature of 250 degrees. Once the mixture is warm enough, it is sucked through a pipe and dropped into a lower bin.
Our saltwater taffy comes in 3 different bases. One's chocolate, molasses will make peanut butter, and our plain flavors are the big array: orange, grape, banana. When saltwater taffy is poured from the cooking machine, we would never be able to touch it like this. No. It would burn us.
To keep the taffy soft, it's moved to a hot box.
You think that this is a fridge, but it's actually just like a warm, cozy sauna.
This is where we keep the taffy after we cook it. If we didn't keep it warm, it would turn into a brick.
Oh, wow. So right now, what temperatures are we at?
We're about at 95.
And what does it feel like right now? Oh, wow. It's very soft.
Once the taffy is set, candy makers dump it onto a cooling table and knead out any air bubbles.
Oh, it's so pretty.
This is a cooling table. It's filled with cold water, and the taffy is warm. So it helps the taffy to cool off before we pull it. You know, it's sticky right now.
Yes.
If you were to put this in your mouth, it would stick to your teeth.
And is this a process that people have used in the past? The technique of having cold water running tables?
Absolutely,
oh, wow.
yeah.
Next, candy makers like Meryl add citric acid to taffies that are fruit flavored.
So citric acid, why is that important to put in for the lime flavor?
Because it gives it the little tartness that you would get if you were eating a lime. And then we just kind of fold it over.
I'll help you.
And settles into itself. The machine operator they have a particular feel for when it's ready.
So this is the color, not the flavor.
This is just the color.
And why don't you add the flavor on this stuff, and why just the color?
Because the process of pulling it allows the flavor to spread more consistently throughout the piece of taffy. So you need to have some muscle to work this job a little, just to make it consistent. They'll take the piece and they'll flip it.
Oh my God.
So this is 50 pounds.
Do you mind if I try this one? Should I turn this one over? This is a battle between Taffy and me, and I have lost. Show them what you do, and then show them, look how, he just does it so quick. Casual, just casual.
Now, for the most important part, the taffy pulling. Historically, candy makers would pull the taffy by hand with the assistance of a hook. These days, the taffy is stretched with machines.
This process is also adding air to the saltwater taffy, and he's adding the flavor right now.
What flavor is that?
That's going to be strawberry. And as you can see, it really allows for the flavor to get mixed in. It really looks like something you just want to pull off and eat.
And I can already smell the lime flavor.
After the taffy is pulled, it's headed for a batch roller. Here, the taffy is elongated and rolled into a log.
Okay, speed walk? Okay, speed walk, speed walk, speed walk, speed walk, speed walk.
So we're just taking the air bubbles out of the piece of taffy.
Okay, that
you
looks
kind of have to be
much
quick about
harder
it.
than you make it seem. This is actually pretty difficult because the tool itself is like sticking into the taffy. It's still chewy and sticky, you can tell, but it is a little harder than it was on that table.
4 mechanical rollers called sizers size the candy down to get the rope of a candy to a certain diameter. The taffy tapers down through a second set of sizers until it resembles a snake. The machine at Shriver's can cut, wrap, and seal about 300 to 400 pieces of taffy per minute.
There's actually fingers that are closing the piece of taffy.
Oh, right there, right there, right there.
The inner layer surrounding the taffy must be wax paper to maintain its soft texture and deter the candy from sticking together.
Do you mind if I untwist this?
No, but you have to do it the right way.
How do you do it the right way?
Okay, so the right way to open a piece of taffy is to pull both sides. There you go. And then we get, that's what we're looking for with a piece of taffy.
Oh, amazing.
So you may be wondering, why the heck is it called saltwater taffy if there's no salt? The story goes like this. There was a man named Mr. Bradley who sold taffy from a stand on a beach. One evening, the water came up and washed over his taffy. He thought his taffy was ruined, but a little girl approached him and asked if she could have a piece of his saltwater taffy. And since then, the name stuck. Shriver's saltwater taffy went from having 17 flavors to 60 flavors in the summertime, which is their busiest season.
So every single day, you're gonna get a fresh piece of taffy.
Every single day we are making fresh taffy.
What's your favorite?
My personal favorite?
Yeah.
They're all my favorite.
They're all? You don't have
Well,
one?
I have one that I'm not crazy about, but that's just because I'm not crazy about that flavor.
Which one?
I can't tell you.
Is it grape?
Absolutely not. Everybody loves grape.
Wait, I hate grape, so I'm like...
Oh, okay, so that's your one that you're taking off the list.
Sour apple bubble gum. I don't know which one I want the most.
That's the whole idea, right?
Yeah, I feel like I want them all. All right, so I'm gonna take your recommendations. I've never had saltwater taffy. I've had like Laffy taffy.
Cherry?
2 of those.
Pineapple.
1 of those.
Tangerine.
1 of those.
Hey guys, I'm Alana.
Hi, I'm Heron.
And today we're here to find the best ice cream in New York City.
There are literally thousands of places that sell ice cream in New York City, and we narrowed it down to 4 spots. Each spot has their own true fan following.
Right, and to make it fair, we're gonna try vanilla ice cream in all 4 of these spots.
I learned from Joe and Sydney that this methodology is called a litmus test.
This is like the litmus test, is that the right thing?
This is the litmus test for the perfect donut.
And to make this more holistic, we're also gonna try their signature flavors.
So we are judging on their vanilla ice cream flavor, their signature ice cream flavor, and the overall diverse spread of flavors that they offer.
Our first stop is Oddfellows.
It's home to 500 creative ice cream flavors, all centered around nostalgia.
My favorite thing about Oddfellas is that it's all made in-house, all made in one location, and their flavors are like nothing else.
So depending on the shop, we have between 8 and 16 flavors in the case at any one time. Our motto is flavors change often, don't be mad. We do try to cycle the standard flavors through whenever we can. You'll always see vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, cookies and cream.
The Brooklyn-based Ice Creamery makes all their ice cream flavors in a factory in Bushwick.
They produce 300 gallons of ice cream a day.
Chef Sam Mason is the mad genius behind everything that we do in the kitchen. He's been a pastry chef at some of the best kitchens in the world in the past 25 years and draws inspiration from all over.
Vanilla's one I'm very particular about, so I've managed to make it way too expensive. We use fresh Tahitian vanilla beans, and we also use a vanilla paste and a vanilla powder. There's a lot of vanilla in our vanilla ice cream.
Okay, let's try it.
All right.
Ooh, and
it's
it
creamy.
cuts like butter.
Oh yeah. The vanilla is definitely prominent. They're not cutting any corners here. I definitely understand what he meant by he uses 3 different types of vanilla because it's extremely vanilla-y.
Vanilla-y,
Vanilla-y.
floral, and light but still very creamy. She's a bougie, basic flavor. Speaking of flavors, let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
One of the flavors that's most in demand and people are saddest when we don't have it is cornbread.
3, 2, 1.
Oh my God.
I've been waiting for this moment for the whole entire shoot. I went to Hometown Barbecue and I brought back cornbread and the coincidence is uncanny and I'm so excited.
Karen, do you have any like
ounce of self-control? No.
I will say that while flavor-wise it tastes a lot like cornbread, there's no hunks of the actual bread, so you're gonna get like a really smooth, creamy bite every time. I do like cake and ice cream together, so I was expecting the cornbread to kind of act like a cake in this, but to me, cornbread and cake, they're not exactly the same texturally, and I don't think it would work
together.
Our second stop is Ample Hills. The Brooklyn-based parlor has shops all across the city. Their specialty? Ice cream filled with ample toppings, like cake, pie, candy, and more.
My husband Brian and I started Ample Hills in May of 2011. We've always loved making and eating really fun, great, fantastical ice cream. And we also really wanted to create a community gathering space.
Ample Hills is the best place to get ice cream. I'd say it's both flavorful and sweet.
Our name Ample Hills comes from the Walt Whitman poem Crossing Brooklyn Ferry. But ample also means that we like to put a lot of stuff in our ice cream. We are as much of a bakery as we are an ice cream factory, so we make all of our mix-ins from scratch. But with our vanilla bean, we steep it. So it's a lot more intense and flavorful than you'll find maybe other vanilla bean.
Let's go into this before it gets meltier.
Oh my God, that melts in your mouth. The vanilla is just
so pronounced.
I feel like each speck is like exploding on my palate. Like it's so good.
You can even see how there are like these pockets of air almost because it's so fluffy.
I kind of want to bite this pretzel cone.
This is a great pairing. The salty, crunchy from the pretzel, the creamy, sweet from the vanilla. If this is the blank slate flavor, I can only imagine how great the other ice cream flavors are gonna be.
Our top seller would be ooey gooey butter cakes, and that's delicious.
Alana, what is my favorite food in the world? Like the food that I gravitate towards when I'm sad, happy, just overall, just
bored existing.
Yeah.
Cake. It's cake.
It's cake.
Yep.
Ooh, I see little niblets of cake in here.
Oh, it's like a butter pecan type.
Sweet Mother Mary, that is so good. I love this. There's so many globs of cake in here. It's a winner. Our third stop is Van Leeuwen. The ice cream truck turned empire is known for using only pure, simple ingredients.
And they're known equally for their dairy and vegan ice cream.
And I love that it's not too sweet of an ice cream. It's just this beautifully creamy, very natural flavors.
Our ice cream is always free of fillers and stabilizers or natural flavors. So when you read the ingredients, it's only things that you recognize. When we started Van Leeuwen, we only did sort of very simple one ingredient flavors. So they're flavors with no chunks. And because we made ice cream like that for so long, we were forced into becoming really, really good at sort of the rudimentary aspects of ice cream making, which is making the base. So we didn't have chunks or anything to hide behind. So if you go to a Van Leeuwen shop to get a scoop, we have 20 flavors. We source all of our vanilla from Papua New Guinea. We use both the bourbon and Tahitian variety. So really, really extraordinary ingredients and extraordinary recipes.
All right, I'm gonna go for this little piece.
Oh,
right
it
here.
just like kind of, it cuts so.
All right.
You can taste just how simple and pure these ingredients are, right?
It's so creamy, and it kind of just like coats your palate in a way that's so refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you can see the vanilla beans, it's not like an overpowering vanilla-y vanilla flavor.
But here, it's like the vanilla is super milky, and like you said, there are these little flecks of the vanilla bean in it. You can just tell that this is like an artisanal ice cream. If you want something that's a little more than the vanilla, I have the thing for you. It's their signature flavor, our honeycomb.
Honeycomb is our #1 bestseller, which is so good.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you're getting like this kind of like salted caramel kind of taste with crunchy honeycomb bits, all melded in with that really super creamy vanilla ice cream. It's so good.
It's just, oh.
Yeah?
Yeah. Our final stop is Chinatown Ice Cream Factory. It's been around for over 40 years and continues to be family operated.
Chinatown Ice Cream Factory started in 1977. There weren't many ice cream stores at that time. We were the first one in Chinatown.
I really, really like about this place the fact that they'll take flavors that I'm used to. You really honestly couldn't find a whole lot of even green tea ice cream. I like how they were kind of ahead of the game and trendsetters.
At any given time, we have about 40 flavors of ice cream. We have the traditional flavors. At the same time, we make flavors that are a little unique and more native to the people that live in this community. Durian's not my type of fruit, but there's a huge following. We keep it covered because of the smell. Either you love it or you hate it.
Do you love it? Are you a follower? I want to try. I don't know if I enjoy that.
We don't let people see how we make our ice cream because we want to keep it a secret and special and not copied by that many people.
Oh, pretty. Thank you.
It's not too sweet. It's very creamy, but I will say that the vanilla flavor still stands out really strongly. Comparing it to other ice creams that I've had, while I do get the, the intense vanilla flavor, I would like to see like the actual like flecks of vanilla bean, because that's usually what sets it above and beyond for me.
I agree with you. Vanilla bean would have made this vanilla over the top.
My flavor that reminds me of my childhood is the lychee, because lychee was quite expensive in the old days and it was like a treat.
This is an ice cream cone that is just Asian in its entirety. We have a green tea cone and lychee flavored ice cream. This one's, oh! It's more icy than other ice creams. Ooh, I like that combination.
Yeah, it's It's like juicy. Like I feel like I'm actually biting into a piece of fruit rather than taking out just a scoop of regular ice cream. It's like ice, like an icy crystallized crust on the outside. So it's not as like super milky and creamy as the other flavors that we had, but I'm not mad at it. I really like it.
I feel like the reason why it is that way is because lychee is like already this very like delicate fruit. Making it really creamy would take away from the integrity of the actual flavor. It's such a unique experience. I feel like I'm from an Asian background, but like a lot of the flavors I'm not really used to, or like I crave but can't find anywhere else. So it serves a lot of purposes for me.
Well, I'm glad we came here and I'm taking this to go. So we did it. We hit the 4 most iconic spots in New York City for ice cream. I think I have a pretty good idea of what I think is the best. Do you? All right, let's see. Three, 2, 1.
Yours is better than mine.
Yeah, I wanted to show the hunks and chunks of all that goodness.
That's not a hunk and chunk, that's a speckle.
Look, ma'am. Okay, so I think the fact that we both got Ample Hills is sort of a testament to why I actually picked it. There were so many options available. I feel like there was something for literally everyone. For the vanilla, the flavors just stood out the most. Each flavor was kind of like bursting on your tongue. Compared to the other vanillas, I feel like it was very creamy. It had a great texture.
Texturally, when I look for a great ice cream, I want something that is extremely milky and creamy, whether it's texture or for flavor. I want both. You could actually see the vanilla
beans.
the vanilla bean in it.
And their signature one, excuse me?
Like you said, there's literally something for everyone. You have regular classics from vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, to ice creams that are filled to the brim with different types of toppings. Cake, candy, chocolate, potato chips, pretzels. I mean, they have it all. That ooey gooey butter cake was so good. I brought a pint home with me after that shoot. And that's the thing about all of these places. We tried a lot of different flavors, like samples, but Ample Hills, it was that one place that we literally couldn't stop eating.
All right, guys, what do you think? Do you agree with us that Ample Hills is the best of the best ice cream, or do you think we should have picked another one of the places we visited?
Or was it a place that we just didn't end up visiting? Let us know in the comment section below.
See ya.
Bye.
Los Angeles kind of gets this reputation for everyone always eating healthy all the time, right?
And they are.
Right, but did you know that Los Angeles is also the donut capital of the United States?
I actually did not know that, and I was really surprised to find out.
Since the 1970s, donuts have been an important part of LA's food culture, and this city has been responsible for the evolution of donuts in the US. For this episode, I used various popular websites like Yelp, Eater, and Thrillist to whittle down the list to 4 of LA's best donut spots.
We're definitely trying each shop's classic glazed donut, and also 1 or 2 of their specialties to get a feel for what they have to offer. Awesome, I am ready to eat some donuts.
Let's do it.
Our first stop is SK Donuts. Located in mid-Wilshire, SK is known for having a wide variety of both classic and premium top donuts.
Our donuts are always fresh, light, fluffy. No matter what time you come, it's always consistent.
For 30 years, SK has been serving up fresh, delicious donuts to hungry Angelinos. Started by Hang T's parents, it's been family-owned and operated the entire time.
Those are really good.
So we definitely got to go Nutella.
Classic, glaze.
Yep. I want some with sprinkles on it.
Yeah.
Pink
sprinkles?
Definitely want the one with the fruity pebbles on it.
Of course.
Right there. Yep. I'm a man child. I gotta have my cereal. The variety at this place is so great, and that's why I took you here.
I thought the reason that Joe took me here was because my initials are SK.
Yeah.
Let's start with the glazed.
If you can't do the glazed right, close up shop. This is like the litmus test. Is that the right thing?
This is the litmus test for the perfect donut.
Litmus?
Litmus.
Litmus test.
Litmus.
Litmus test. Ooh. Oh, wow.
The flakiness of the glaze, it's not like melted into the donut, it's laying nicely on top of the donut. So when you bite into it, you get a little bit of like a crunch, some nice texture.
That guy has that thing. I'll go ahead and call that the glaze ladle. It's just like a huge thing, like a gallon of it, and he's just like ba-bam across like a whole dozen, and they're drenching the donuts in this incredible glaze.
This is the fluffiest glazed donut I've ever had in my life, no question.
I gotta dip it in the coffee. Oh yeah, that's so good. Can you live on the mic?
That's the stuff.
So this one has fruit on it, so technically it's healthy. That doesn't sound right. I'm going for strawberry.
Joe just called a raspberry a strawberry. That's how much fruit he eats on a regular basis.
Wait, what'd I say?
Next, we're heading to LA's original farmers market to try a true classic, Bob's Coffee and Donuts. Since 1970, it's been a must-visit for anyone in LA serious about donuts.
And it's cash only, so heads up.
Oh yeah, thanks for paying.
Yeah, okay.
Bob's is known for the classics, and there's over 30 varieties to choose from.
I made sure we got the big one.
These feel very like classic. Even the just looking at the cake, it looks a lot thicker. It looks closer to like a buttermilk donut or even like an old fashioned, which I love.
Yeah, very old school LA, very diner vibes. But we're outside. It's always good weather in Los Angeles, so you can always eat a donut outside here.
Right.
Oh, this looks fluffy.
Yeah. Thicker, amazing consistency. Dough's cooked perfectly. The glaze is really delicious. This is about as classic as you can get when it comes to donuts.
This feels and tastes like they make their own mix here in the shop.
Yeah. I bet if I got in a time machine and went back to 1950 whenever this place was open, that donut tastes exactly the same. If it worked well 50 years ago, it's gonna work well today, and they're absolutely right.
I am so freaking excited for this sprinkle donut. Well, first of all, look at that.
Yeah.
Nothing falls off, maybe one or two, you're good.
Look at this.
But yeah, we
Look at
got
this.
cake.
Look at
Cake
that.
donut, baby. This is a really, really light cake donut. It's not heavy at all, but I appreciate that it like maintains its structure as you take a bite. Bob's is awesome. I loved every donut here.
Now we're headed over to Primo's Donuts in Mar Vista. Since 1956, Primo's has thrived by delivering consistently great classic donuts with a few specialties.
We've been in business 63 years. My father, when he started the business, it was highest quality. Everything had to be the utmost in terms of quality.
I've been coming here from over 20 years.
And donuts are great.
Well said. It has also been said, Sydney, that Primo's Buttermilk Bar is the best donut in LA, so I would like to try one.
You read my mind.
I feel like they don't get much fresher than this. We just saw them glaze these like 15 seconds ago.
They are still warm and they are shiny.
Oh man. I mean, the way it melts in your mouth, the cakiness of it is like so soft, you know? It's like pillowy. And the glaze is perfect on this.
It's less sweet than some of the other like yeasted raised donuts that I've had. And I love how you can see like all the layers.
I feel like I'm biting into a donut pillow. This is so fantastic.
Yeah, donut
Oh, wow.
pillow is the right way to say that. I think the difference between this and other ones I've had is like the glaze kind of stays on the donut, it doesn't crumble, it doesn't crackle off.
Everyone says that this is the thing to get here.
They are known for these buttermilk bars.
The size of this.
It's a heavy boy.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, let's do it.
Whoa, dude. This is not what I was expecting. This is way better.
It has a very familiar taste, but I can't like put my finger on it. Almost like a bread pudding or like a tres leches or like that kind of texture.
Yeah.
They must like glaze them while they're super hot, and then they sit there and they get a little like wet around the outside and still nice and cakey on the inside, but still crispy.
No, it reminds me of those butter cookies. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. The flavor of these are way different than a standard donut because it's more emphasis on the ingredients, the dough, how everything works together, than just packing something with sugar.
Yeah.
That make sense?
Yeah, the quality here, you can tell, you can see it, you can taste it, you can feel it.
For our last stop, we're going to LA's iconic donut sign, Randy's Donuts in Inglewood.
Our donuts, first and foremost, they're made fresh every day by hand, which is very different. A lot of other companies use machines. We use proprietary ingredients that are proprietary just to us. They are so high quality that they last longer.
I'm from New York. My cousin lives out here. She told me they're the best donuts in LA, so they're good.
Located near the airport, Randy's iconic donut sign has been seen in numerous TV shows and movies.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut.
But it's not a gimmick. These donuts are considered by some Angelinos to be the best.
It's also the only spot we're visiting with a drive-thru. Thanks for driving, Sid.
Yep, I always drive.
So what kind of donuts are we gonna get? What do you think?
Definitely gotta go glazed. Chocolate raised, I think those are the most popular two here.
Yep.
I think it's some with sprinkles.
Yep. I saw like some colorful ones, like some Fruit Loops, I think, or some kind of like cereal.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Great.
So here's your donuts.
Amazing.
Your coffee will be coming in a minute.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, my arms are short.
Yeah.
I'll get your coffee in a second.
Cool, thank you.
Sydney with the T-Rex arms.
There's not like a median or anything.
No, not at all. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't look.
Are you kidding me?
So for $1.15, you get this big donut. This could easily take care of me for breakfast.
I mean, you say that, but when you eat a donut, you always want to go back for a second one, you know?
Let's find out right now. Ready to bite?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm savoring it. Let me savor it.
That is fantastic. You know, you can judge a donut place by how good the glazed is, and this is a fantastic glazed donut.
Excellent, yeah.
I'm gonna go in for the chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting for you. You want this one?
No, I'm doing the cake donut.
Okay.
That's my jam.
Man.
I would never go for chocolate raised. Like I would
You should,
never.
because this is excellent. So we got cake donuts and we got raised donuts. Raised are fluffy, cake are thick. The raised goes a little more cake, which I like. This is like a thick donut,
It is kind
right?
of cakey. Like the raised is weirdly a little cakey, but that's kind of great.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
And this frosting's incredible.
Joe takes the most massive bites I've ever seen in my entire life for donuts. It's like, I'm gonna have one more bite and it's like half the donut.
That's true. That's too much. Why is it that eating a donut and just staring at that Randy's donut sign's like, it's hypnotic? Sydney, we went to 4 of the best donut places in Los Angeles, and now we have the difficult task of picking which was our favorite. You ready?
I think we're gonna have the same one this time.
I don't think so. On the count of 3?
2,
1, 2, 3.
3.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
so why did you love it so much?
Everything, starting with that glazed donut, was incredible, and then, of course, the buttermilk bars were amazing. I mean, I just thought every single thing that we had there was probably the best thing we had while we were eating donuts in Los Angeles.
Even the plain glaze, I think, was just absolute perfection. It wasn't too sweet. There's like the right amount of glaze on top.
But I don't know, I feel that there's only 4 good donut places in Los Angeles. What do you think? You think there's some others?
I think that we missed probably a lot of donut shops. We picked some pretty great ones, but let us know what else we need to go try, and until next time.
Hi guys, I'm Heron.
And I'm Alana.
And today we are on our way to start our journey to find
The best chocolate chip cookies in New York City.
So there are so many places in New York City to get chocolate chip cookies.
And we narrowed it down to 4 top spots based on internet research, word of mouth,
and a little bit of personal experience.
And I am starving, so let's go.
Let's do it. Alana and I luckily have similar tastes when we're talking about the ideal chocolate chip cookie. We're looking for a crunchy, crispy exterior and a gooey interior.
And a bunch of chocolate chips spotted throughout the cookie.
Our first stop is Jacques Therese Chocolate. Jacques Therese is a world-famous pastry chef and chocolatier. Chef Therese specializes in handcrafted chocolates made with fresh, real ingredients.
Hello, I am Jacques Therese from Jacques Therese Chocolates, and this is the home of the best cookies in New York.
This is my go-to spot for chocolate chip cookies. I come here at least once a month, and it's conveniently very close to my house and my office, so it's easy to stop by. It's very dangerous.
Give to your customer what your customer wants. And Americans love cookies. So when you do the things right, your cookies will be a little bit crispy on the outside, soft on the center, with a nice layering of chocolates. Not too chewy, not too soft. So John now is responsible for pastries, the pastry chef. And John going to show you how to make all those cookies.
First, we're gonna mix this together so it's nice and light and fluffy. Next, we're gonna add the eggs and vanilla. So we use 2 kinds of flours. We use a bread and a pastry flour, and that's part of what makes our cookies a little bit unique as well. It contributes to the texture and consistency of the cookie. This is a dark chocolate, 64%. We use 2 bags of this to make a batch of cookies. That's 30 kilos. We lift the 100-kilo cookie dough with a forklift. From there, we use a blowtorch to warm the bowl, to loosen up the cookie mix so that it can be removed and added to the hopper. The cookie machine will cut 80 cookies a minute. From there, they're taken and placed on trays to be baked. After they're baked, they are cooled down and wrapped.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I like this very much.
Okay. Okay, no.
I love the chocolate to cookie ratio, and I love the crispiness and the chewiness. I love the additional sense of vanilla that I get in this cookie compared to a lot of the other chocolate chip cookies that I've had just in my life in general. What about you?
For me, I'm kind of on the same boat with you. I love the chocolate. Like, if you just look at this cookie, it's just one big mama glob of chocolate.
Mama glob.
Big mama glob of chocolate right there in the center. But yeah, I really, really love this. If I could just want one more thing, I would want sea salt. Yes.
Sea salt on top.
Definitely sea salt on top. That would make this cookie like 10 times better. And maybe a little bit softer on the inside. I love a crispy exterior, but I want something a little softer on the inside.
Our second stop is Dominique Ansel Bakery. Chef Ansel is a revered pastry chef, famous for his creative takes on classic desserts. His take on the chocolate chip cookie is a little unconventional.
So I created the cookie shot a few years ago now when I was invited at South by Southwest to create something for the show. I created the cookie shot, and at the time it was just for one day, and it got so popular that I had to bring it back to New York.
It was a great cookie shot. Like the milk, it was cold milk, and then it was a warm cookie with chocolate inside. So I think it was a really nice mix. I've never had a chocolate chip cookie like this before.
I think the cookie shot is simply simple. It's something that is easy to understand. It's fun, and it's a great way to experience chocolate chip cookie. The cookie shot is one of our best sellers, and the best way to eat the cookie shot is actually to serve it warm. Add the vanilla milk inside. Have a sip of the milk out of the cookie, and then take a bite of the cookie. So first we use a silicone mold that is hollow in the center, and here we have our rectangle of dough. So we use Valrhona chocolate chips in our cookies. We take this dough and we push it inside the mold all the way down, and then we close off the top. Once it comes out of the oven, we let them cool. Then we line them with our chocolate in the center to make sure that the milk doesn't seep out. And then we pour the milk infused with vanilla in the center of the cookie. So the cookie is hot and the milk is ice cold. So really fun way to enjoy it.
Have you ever seen a chocolate chip cookie fashioned in this way?
I've seen a lot of things in my 26 years of life. Can't say that this is one of the things I've seen. So, you know,
how genius is this creation?
I think it's pretty freaking genius.
All right, shall we?
Yep. Let's go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, it's soft. Ooh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Wait.
I feel like there's so many different ways that you could go to town on this thing, but he suggested taking that sip and then taking a bite of that cookie, and it's that perfect bite of like cookie to milk.
When you take a bite of it after drinking the milk, you have that kind of mushy cookie thing that you get with
when you dip it in milk for a while, yeah. And the cookie itself is just a solid, delicious cookie. It's not just like a fun way of presenting a chocolate chip cookie. This is a solid chocolate chip cookie. I loved that milk that's like mixed in with that Tahitian vanilla and that sugar, and I just wanted more of that. That is my only critique. Otherwise, chocolate chip cookie, every time you take a bite of this thing, ideal bite. Our third stop is Leven Bakery. It's well known for its massive cookies and has won countless awards from near and far.
Leven Bakery is most known at this point for our cookies, and most known for the chocolate chip walnut is our most popular cookie. I think it's a classic cookie that people love.
This is my very first time at Leven. My daughter has been telling me non-stop that we have to get one of these cookies.
Ever since I came to New York, I've been here so many times, just way too many times. You like it? Mm-hmm. Best cookies in the world. Mm-hmm.
When the lines are long at the bakery, they move really quickly, which is great. A line is great as long as it's moving, and it's usually about 15 or 20 minutes.
After we realized that they were a hit, then we started kind of playing with the recipe a little bit more. It took us about a year to get it exactly how we wanted it, but no really big changes. Yeah. We get 2 people to get the bowl because it's so big and heavy with all that dough, and carry it over to the table. We weigh each cookie by hand to be sure that it's 6 ounces. Every location bakes everything freshly each day, and what we don't sell, we donate at night. Every cookie that you get when you come to Leven Bakery is probably going to be less than an hour out of the oven.
They have this cookie recipe to a science, and their whole objective is to have this crunchy, like crispy exterior, and then the inside should be like molten, kind of still gooey on the inside.
Okay, so excited. Okay, woo!
How is it? Do you like it?
I'm shook. This thing is chock full of chocolate chips, okay?
It's literally maybe like an inch in width.
It is.
You see that molten interior?
What?
That is the reason why this place is so popular. This cookie for me checks off all the boxes. The textures are right. The chocolate chips are just literally speckled throughout the cookie. And there's like a hint of nuts.
I seriously just don't see yet how any cookie could compare to this. This is gonna be really hard to beat. Our last stop, Maman. This cafe/bakery/restaurant is home to the nutty chocolate chip cookie. The cookies are so popular that Maman makes around 3,000 cookies to last for just 2 days.
So for those of you who don't know, Maman means mother in French, and we named it that as a tribute to our mothers who are our biggest influence in the kitchen. So my husband and I opened up Maman in October of 2014. We opened it up kind of selfishly. We wanted to kind of create a space that embodied wonderful home cooking and a beautiful home-inspired environment.
I live across the road, so this is kind of like my local coffee shop, and the cookies are amazing, especially the chocolate chip cookie. It's like a really homemade cookie. Like it's definitely like freshly made, but the chocolate in the cookie is just, really, really good and just melts in your mouth.
So our nutty chocolate chip cookie is one of our most classic dishes and the best dish that we're known for here at Maman. So we really wanted to mix that classic chocolate chip cookie with the buttery, salty, nutty essence that the French culture offers. So we've had quite a bit of notoriety on our nutty chocolate chip cookie, and our claim to fame was back in 2017 for the holiday season. Oprah put it on one of her favorite things.
One batch makes 3,000 cookies, and that normally lasts for 2 days. So this salt is from a small city in the west of France and is coarser and more salty than the table salt. So that it's one of the ingredients who makes the cookie very special.
Next, we combine together all of the nuts, making sure we're using full salted almonds, macadamia nuts, and walnuts. And next up, the chocolate. To make sure there's a gooey chocolate piece within each bite, we use 61% Qatar chocolate wafers.
Okay, so I'm not like a chocolate chip expert here, but this already has gained 5,000 points. Do you know why?
Oh, it's a positive. Okay.
It's a positive. My points are positive because this cookie is mostly chocolate.
This chocolate chip cookie definitely has more chocolate than the other ones we have tried.
All right, let's dig in. Wait, first I'm breaking. Oh my God, what? Okay, like there's barely any room for the actual cookie up in here.
Let's just appreciate first
It's like melting out. Okay. There's not one basic bite in this cookie. I am big on desserts that aren't just straight sugar. I feel like
this definitely isn't too sweet.
No. It's like the nuts and the salt balance it perfectly.
But it's not like a salty cookie, you know what I mean?
No, not at all. I'm trying to find like any negative about this cookie and I really can't.
I don't know, Alana. Like, this might be a really hard one to decide which one's the best. And now it's time to decide which cookie is the best of the best. So unfortunately, Alana, our journey to find the best chocolate chip cookie is finally over.
So many good ones.
I know, so many good ones. But it's time to pick the best chocolate chip cookie in New York City. Are you ready?
Don't look.
I'm not looking.
Don't look.
I already have an inkling of an idea of where you're gonna pick.
1, 2, 3.
I knew it. As much as I am disappointed in your answer, I want to know what your reasoning is.
Okay, so when I had the mama cookie, first thing off the bat, the chocolate. Every single bite, my mouth was just covered in chocolate. The nuts in the cookie just had this wonderful crunch, great textural component.
So for the exact reasons that you just explained, I did not pick mama for that specific reason.
Really?
It was a delicious cookie, don't get me wrong, but I picked Le Vin because it checked off all the marks. It's crispy on the outside, it's molten and gooey on the inside. You're still getting globs of chocolate every time you bite into it.
It's just, they're two iconic cookies in their own way. If we're talking about my favorite cookie, I'm gonna say mama, but if we're gonna be objective, the price is just, you know, they're about the same and you get more cookie with Le Vin.
The lines out the door is just another thing that I think like symbolizes New York City and that experience.
Sure.
So if you're talking about the best chocolate chip cookie in New York City, it is Le Vin.
I hate being wrong, but I guess for this one time, I'll have to concede.
Y'all, there are more episodes here. I just want a tally of how many times I am going to be right.
Whatever. All right, I will say for this, the best of the best cookie is Le Vin.
Le Vin?
Le Vin.
I don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce it. So there you have it. Le Vin, the winner. Listen, all 4 of these places were fantastic.
Amazing.
But I want to know, do you agree with me or do you agree with Alana?
Or do you think there's another cookie place we should visit?
They say if you ask a Swede if they know what Fabrique is, they'll ask you if you know who Beyonce is, which in my opinion is some pretty stellar praise. Fabrique has been a staple in Sweden since 2008, but they finally graced New York with their presence and with their sweet and crunchy cardamom bun just this May. But before I get to dig into it, I'm gonna step in the kitchen and see how these things are made. Let's do it.
Fabrique opened in Stockholm in 2008 as the brainchild of Carlotta and David Zetterström. Since its debut, Fabrique has expanded to 19 locations in Stockholm and 6 in London. And this is its first US location. Fabrique's cardamom buns are among its most popular items. And that's not surprising, considering the fact that Scandinavians are one of the largest importers of cardamom and have been using the spice in their cooking for hundreds of years.
I don't know when we're starting it, but it's been using forever. And the cardamom bun has always been in the bakeries.
That's Joanna Svensson, one of the head bakers at Fabrique New York. She took us into the kitchen to see how she's making these decadent pastries.
Do you ever get tired of cardamom? Never get tired of cardamom.
Tell me why.
It's so delicious. It's the best bun. It's my favorite bun also, so it's the best one.
Do you go home smelling like this bakery?
Yeah, I do. I can feel it in the subway also. Like, who is smelling? It's me. If you smell the cardamom just like this, like a whole bowl with cardamom, it's almost like little menthol.
The process of making these twirled buns begins with a whole bunch of pastry staples: flour, butter, sugar, and yeast. The special addition is cardamom, and we mean a lot of cardamom. Once the dough's rested, it passes through a flattening device until it's ready to be stuffed full of butter and another generous sprinkling of sugar and cardamom. The dough is then folded and flattened again by hand before it's sliced into the thin strips that will create the woven shape of the cardamom bun.
How do we shape a cardamom bun? Yeah. So you take one stripe like this. Okay. Here you go.
Thank you.
And And I will take one also.
Okay.
And then you put your fingers like this.
Like a peace sign?
You hold it and then you turn it.
Okay.
Exactly. And then one more. Take it over. The whole bun. And then you're pushing it in.
Oh no, I have such small fingers. Okay.
Pushing it.
Trying to get the tail through.
Exactly.
I actually went to pastry school, and I feel
really?
like my teaching chefs are gonna watch this and be like, no, like your degree is revoked.
No, they will not.
The buns get an egg wash and yet another sprinkling of sugar and cardamom before they're baked for exactly 14 minutes. Fabrique sells a variety of pastries, including cinnamon buns, raspberry cakes, blueberry buns, brownies, and chocolate buns. But the cardamom bun is the one item on the menu that has emerged as a clear winner here in New York.
Most Americans didn't even really know what cardamom was, because when we first opened, we kept getting a lot of questions about what is cardamom. So it was something new, and I think that made them curious. And then it's kind of difficult to explain the flavor of it, but we always let them try it. And when they tried it, it was like, what is this? It's so good.
It's both soft and crunchy at the same time, and it feels really, really layered.
Yeah.
This is better than Dominique Ansel. Oh, I shouldn't say that on camera.
That is like a crime against New York, yeah.
Sorry. No, it's the new Dominique Ansel, but better.
Wow, that is a hot take, sir.
I come out of the street and walking by, there's always a long line, and the smell is amazing, and I just walk in.
I had been to the Fabrique in Stockholm and really loved the cardamom buns, and had also been to the one in London when I was visiting, and was really excited that one opened up in New York.
So the first thing I'm noticing with this is that the bun is fresh out of the oven. Where in New York can you get a bun this fresh out of the oven? The other thing that I'm noticing is the way that the layers of the way that this bun is shaped is so unique. You can really, now that the bun is baked, you can really see the different layers of all of the different pieces of dough wrapped around each other to make this really unique shape. And then of course this like crystally, caramelly sugar and cardamom on top makes it seem like it's gonna be crunchy. Wow. It's unique, it's different than anything I've had in New York. It's soft, it's crunchy, it's sweet, it's savory. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna take 12 of these with me, and I'm not gonna share them because these are one of the best things I've eaten this year, and I will see you later.
The Donut Croissant Hybrid was created by world-renowned pastry chef Dominique Ansel in 2013.
Now, if you aren't familiar with Chef Dominique's desserts, he is famous for his frozen s'mores, his watermelon soft serve, his cookie shots, his DKA, but really the famous one is the cronut. We're here at 7 a.m. to get in front of the line so we can get a head start. The cronuts are extremely limited in quantity and very, very popular, and I want to see what all the hype is about. Let's go.
So when I first launched the cronut, it was in 2013 for Mother's Day, so in May.
The team at Dominique Ansel Bakery wanted to create a donut-shaped dessert for the occasion, but didn't have any recipes for donuts. So Chef Ansel made a laminated dough, similar to a croissant, to fit the bill. It took him over 2 months to perfect his cronut recipe. A food reporter from Grub Street tried the pastry by chance, and it went viral. People started lining up outside the next day, and traffic to the bakery's website went up 300%. It's been 6 years now, and the cronut obsession still isn't over.
First in line this morning. We really want to try the cronuts.
We waited since 7 o'clock.
1 hour, yeah. We have to have the whole New York experience, and that's why we're getting a cronut today.
So, what makes the cronut so iconic? First of all, it's limited in quantity. You're not guaranteed one, hence the lines. Every day by noon, all 500 to 600 of them are sold out. This is partly because making the cronut is such a painstaking process. It takes 3 days from start to finish. Chef Ansel finally revealed the home-cooked version of the recipe in his cookbook in 2014, and it proves just how much work goes into making them. The proofing and ganache are the most time-consuming parts. You're honestly better off just buying one. At the bakery, each cronut is proofed, then deep-fried. It's filled with 2 different fillings. Then it's rolled in sugar and glazed. The team changes the cronut flavor every month, and no flavor is ever repeated.
The reason why I keep limiting the quantity is just because I want to preserve the quality. I always tell everyone that I don't want my creation to kill my creativity.
When we visited in July, the cronut of the month was Meyer lemon and wildflower honey. I've been wanting to try this since 2013, and here we are, mid-2019, first bite of the cronut. It's so crunchy. This hands down might be one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. Wow. That's so good. That is so good. It definitely, for me, tastes more like a croissant than a donut. It's denser than a donut, and it has these little very thin layers like you get from a croissant, and it's extremely buttery but still very light and airy. Do you have powdered sugar like everywhere on my face?
Sort of.
I can see why people line out the door 2 hours before opening just to have this dessert now, because it's fluffy, it's airy, it's buttery, it's crunchy, it's all of the adjectives that you want in a dessert just embodied in this one thing, one cronut. It is messy though. This rightfully owns the title of the best dessert in New York City.
A lot of people ask me if I knew that this was going to happen and what I was expecting. Of course I didn't know. Of course, no one can plan for this.
In a city where new food trends are popping up almost every day, there are still no signs that the cronut's popularity is slowing down. The obsession has spread throughout the world, with copycat cronuts and recipes found everywhere. Even Dunkin' Donuts introduced its version in 2014. Imitation may be the best form of flattery, but the best place to get the cronut is where it all started, Dominique and Cell Bakery in New York City.
People compare beignets to donuts, funnel cake, and other sugar-topped fried pastries. But those who've been to Café du Monde know them as a thing all their own.
It's our decadence. It's who we are. I mean, it's everything about it. You come here, I can't describe it. I'm just looking at it because it's like heaven in a bag.
Beignets start out as a simple pastry dough at Café du Monde, where the bakers are meticulous in the way they mix each batch.
Mix it to get all the lumps out, to get smooth. It's about 10 minutes, the most.
As for what's inside that mixture,
I can't tell you, that's a secret.
Based on the ingredient list from Café du Monde's own beignet mix, the dough is made with wheat and barley flours, buttermilk, salt, and sugar. Once it's fully combined, only touch can tell whether it's ready.
I check to make sure it's the right filling for it to throw. I don't want it too soft, I want it just right. I don't want it too hard. See, I have to fill it. If I make it too stiff, beignets will start to shrink up.
Then Curtis puts the dough through a rolling machine.
I'm rolling it down so I can run it through the cutter, brush the excess flour off, get it ready to go into the grease.
You ever burn yourself doing that?
Plenty of times. Still have the marks on my arm.
Café du Monde fries beignets in cottonseed oil because
it's like a peanut oil, but the grease doesn't burn that fast. You cook it at a high temperature.
You'll see Curtis shake the squares continuously as the pastries cook.
I'm separating them so they won't stick together, so all of them come out done.
In 5 minutes or less, the beignets are puffy and golden brown.
At this point, wait for the waiters to come in and bag them up and take them out to the window to serve.
Shovels of powdered sugar empty into the bags immediately after the beignets leave the fryer. That's when the sugar easily clings to the surface, and when the pastries taste their best.
Listen, you have to get them hot, like extremely hot, because it's like, you see that? Like, it's so airy and light. I gotta take another bite. It's so good.
Better than a donut, way better than a donut. It's just soft and chewy and excellent. And we always wear black so that we can have powdered sugar all over us and everybody knows where we've been.
Most customers like a lot of sugar. They like a lot.
Do they come back asking for more?
Yes, they do, all the time. All the time.
Café du Monde has been open in the French Quarter for almost 160 years, all the while serving the same 2 items on the menu.
With some black coffee, it's just like the perfect combination.
Yeah, it's a perfect mixture of tart and sweetness that it totally combines with each other.
And for decades, food publications, famous figures, and customers from all over the world have praised the sweet fried dough.
There are a few things that you think of New Orleans immediately: the river, the cathedral, Pat O'Brien's Hurricane maybe, a Café du Monde beignet. This is what you come to New Orleans for.
First stop when we get to New Orleans.
This is on the list of where we gotta go. Even if you don't like beignets, you kind of have to try it because it's just part of the New Orleans tradition and history and culture.
LA's Little Tokyo is the heart of the largest Japanese-American population in North America. One gift that Japanese immigrants brought over with them is this cute little snack, mochi. Now we're visiting the oldest Japanese business in the country from the owner, who actually still makes mochi the way Grandpa did it. Let's go.
After all these years, Fugetsudo has earned many fans who adore their mochi's texture and taste.
Hi!
Hi, Crystal.
Tell me a little bit about Fugetsudo and how long you've been around.
Well, Fugetsudo is the oldest store here in Little Tokyo. We started in 1903. I am the 3rd generation. Today we're making sakura mochi. It's our season. February and March we make sakura mochi for Girls' Day.
What do you use to make it?
Well,
what
we
ingredients?
use sweet rice and red bean, azuki beans, and we also are making a number of other items, some more decorative traditional mochi. Each one has a certain taste or a certain texture. So if you'd like to see, we're busy working right now, so come on back.
In the Fugetsudo kitchen, Brian Kito is more than a baker. He is a shokunin, or master craftsman, a title earned after at least 10 years of training. He's known for his traditional Japanese desserts, including yokon, a sweet bean jelly served over white bean-filled mochi, decorated and covered with gelatin. There's also ogura, an inverted mochi with the beans on the outside, topped off with the flour, also sealed with gelatin to keep it soft and shiny.
First of all, I am just impressed by how much manual work there is. Every single stage, there's someone pouring, cutting, manipulating, mixing, stirring, moving something from one table to another. I mean, it's all done by human hands and human labor.
Fugetsudo is known for their rainbow dango. It starts with a base dough that's steamed and mixed with sugar. The mochi is edible at this stage, but it's not rainbow dango yet. Food coloring is folded in by hand and shaped into long pieces that wrap the white mochi. Now it's ready to be rolled out, section by section. Each tube is finally laid in a wooden mold, but before that, getting them to be just right takes some effort.
It's a workout. Okay, my arm is tired, my shoulder's tired. I have truly never eaten mochi until today. Like real mochi.
Oh.
Yeah, so good. This is just, it's a joy to eat because the texture is just something that you don't find in nature. You gotta make it.
I've been in the business for 44 years, full-time.
Now, given that you've been doing this for a long time and it's a family business, have you had any tools or special equipment that's been passed down?
Yeah, we do. We have some molds that have been passed down even from my grandfather's days, but because the internment during World War II, a lot of the stuff from my grandfather doesn't exist anymore that they lost.
After internment, Brian's mom and dad struggled to rebuild from nothing, but they soon got back to producing their legendary mochi with a little bit of help.
Corey, my son, he's shown interest in taking it over, and so we're preparing for him to be the 4th generation. He's been here for now a year and a half apprenticing while he's in college.
You have 5. Yeah, 3 more. 3 more.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
Is he the young man that looks like you walking around?
He's the one that almost looks as good looking as Dad. No, I'm just kidding.
And it's so fragrant. Oh, it smells so good. Even not to eat it is a treat.
You just can't find this anywhere else, and it's fresh. It's not like dry. The mochi itself has a taste, which complements whatever's inside of it.
I'm in my 3rd bite. This texture is unbeatable. Mmm. It is the mochi place, and it's really good. Yay! For several generations, Gambino's has been baking king cakes for New Orleans and the rest of the world.
This is our 71st year in business, so we have a lot of experience. We have people that have been with us 40 years, 20 years.
And the business of king cakes is big business. In addition to selling the cakes at their bakery, Gambino's ships king cakes all over the world.
Doing a little 700-800 a day, which is a pretty good amount for a place building this size.
We probably make about 100,000 during carnival season.
So what exactly is a king cake, and how is it made in New Orleans?
It's a sweet Danish dough. There's cinnamon in it, the traditional cinnamon. It's made from scratch every day.
So we start out in the morning by making fresh dough. We mix it, we chop it up on the table, and then we give it a moment to rest, and we start the processing it. I think it arrived from the cinnamon roll, and it just expanded from there. Well, instead of making a dough and cutting it off, making a little sweet roll, let's stretch it out. Let's stretch it out and make a loop out of it. I don't know where it originated from, but this is what it ended up being.
In NOLA, the cake fits right in with Mardi Gras tradition.
So it has the traditional 3 colors, the green, purple, and gold, and it's faith, justice, and power.
Generations of children have been raised in New Orleans eating cakes during carnival season.
As soon as we get weaned off of the bottle, I mean, that's pretty much, the next thing to go in your hand. It just is. It just is.
Sharing king cake was a tradition long before New Orleans became a city. The cake's name comes from a biblical story of the 3 wise men visiting baby Jesus on the 12th night, or King's Day, celebrated on January 6th. Today, king cake is available between King's Day and Mardi Gras Day, the day before Lent begins. The origin of the king cake itself varies on who you ask, but is most commonly believed to have started in France or Spain and was popularized during the Middle Ages. While king cake might not have been invented in New Orleans, bakeries across the city like Gambino's have perfected it.
There's different parts of the world that celebrate carnival, but they also have, a version of the king cake. I think ours, we have a lot of sugar in ours, so I think ours is sweeter. I don't think when you go to Europe or even Mexico, it's not as, they don't have the icing and the sugars on it.
Gambino's claim to fame was that they were one of the first bakeries to actually fill their cakes.
We actually call them stuffed because most bakeries will add the filling on top. Like if it's strawberry, they'll just make a regular king cake, add strawberry filling on top. So we actually put the filling inside the king cake and roll it and then bake the filling in it. So the flavor generates throughout the entire king cake instead of just being placed on top.
The final and possibly most important ingredient in a king cake is a plastic baby baked into every cake.
So the baby originally, was supposed to be like baby Jesus, but basically it symbolizes like health, prosperity, you're the king, it's like the grand prize in the cake.
Before the baby was popularized, many Mardi Gras crews would hide a bean in their cake, and whoever ate the piece with the bean inside would be the king or queen for that year's Mardi Gras parade. Today, you can't buy a king cake without a plastic baby.
I remember getting the baby a couple of times when I was a little kid, at school. And it was like, oh, that was popularity gold. That was pretty cool.
Tradition goes that whoever finds the baby has to provide the king cake for the next party. But after Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, many bakeries, including Gambino's, were not sure if they'd reopen.
It was scary because you wonder if you're, I think everybody felt, anybody that had a business here or was employed here, you didn't know what your future was. So it was very frightening. Sorry. Everything was just really slow coming back, and nobody really knew what was going to happen. The city's come back even stronger, and better, and our people here are just, they're so strong.
In the years since the hurricane, Gambino's popularity has grown stronger than ever. Some of the bakery's most loyal customers are former New Orleans residents who didn't come back to the city after Katrina, so they have Gambino's king cakes shipped to them wherever they are in the world.
You have to live every day to the fullest because we just don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's why we celebrate so big here. I think that's what makes this place so unique to anywhere else, because we just have this, joie de vivre, that we love life and we love our culture and we just want it to keep going. And it's just kind of something to bring people together for, a celebration, which we like to do in New Orleans.
We're in Forest Hills today, and we're heading to Eddie's Sweet Shop, which is one of the oldest ice cream parlors in New York City. They're known for these huge, over-the-top sundaes that are legitimately the quintessential sundae you would imagine in your head. But there's a ton of shops that sell ice cream in the city, so why has Eddie's stood the test of time? Let's go find out.
The shop has operated out of its original corner store location in Forest Hills for the last 95 years. It's a Queens institution, but it's well known beyond the borough. And ironically, there was never an Eddie. The shop was previously named DeWitt's Ice Cream Parlor before Giuseppe Citrano took ownership and changed it to Eddie's Sweet Shop in the 1960s. It's gone through 4 owners now, with many of the previous managers working until they were ready to retire. And when it was Giuseppe's turn, he passed the shop on to his son, Vito.
This place never went through a change, and we were very grateful for the other owners never to put any money into the place and change it. We used the same dishes that have been used since the 30s. Even those holders are about from the 1930s.
Eddie's is known for its classic sundae with the works: 3 scoops of ice cream, hot fudge or strawberry sauce, and fresh whipped cream, all topped with a cherry. Every flavor is made on-site and from scratch, using the same recipes inherited from the shop's previous owners.
Mainly, we do sundaes here, milkshakes. Cones is probably one of the least things we do.
I order something different every time probably because everything is so good, and if it's homemade, you have to try everything all the time.
It's almost like luscious. It's so creamy. And this whipped cream is cloud-like. It's very light, it's not sweet.
Perhaps what Eddie's does best is preserve its original charm. The shop sticks to the classics rather than calling on the newest or trendiest items. And that's exactly why people seek it out. It's the kind of shop that appeals to both young and old, to those who have known Eddie's for years and those just coming across it.
Everything about this place is old school. From the minute that you walk in, you see the bar, you see the sundae bar, people sit down, they're ordering ice cream sodas, and then you get a sundae that's literally piled high like this, and you just feel like you're out of a scene of a movie that's from, I don't know, the 1950s. It's like a time capsule sort of atmosphere, and I think that's what kind of makes this place stand out. And I mean, it's been here for almost 100 years. So it seems like, too, that there's an effort to keep things old school and to keep things traditional. Would you say that's true?
100%. So scary to say. My father used to say it, now I'm saying it. What I see is our customers coming in with their children, and now their children are bringing their children. Mm-hmm. And what's great about this place is they can always say, this is exactly how it was when I came as a child, or when Grandpa brought me.
It's what I imagine something to be like from back in the 30s, 40s, It's a trip back in time, and you got to experience it.
The Lemon Ice King of Corona began in 1944, when Nicola Benfaremo began churning and selling ice out of his garage in a largely Italian neighborhood. Nicola's son Peter partnered up with his father to open up a storefront in 1964, just in time for the New York World's Fair in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, which attracted more than 51 million people around the globe.
Everyone is coming to the New York World's Fair.
The real Lemon Ice King started here through Peter Benfaremo. Even though we got to acknowledge his father, obviously.
Yeah, he took it to the next level.
That's Mike Zampino and Vinny Barbaccia, the current owners of the Queens Institution.
Pete, to me, was like my second father. Probably one of my best friends as well.
An immigrant from Italy, Nicola made his ice the traditional way, using natural ingredients and actual pieces of fruit, like in Sicilian granita, a semi-frozen dessert with a sugar and water base. But what made the Benfaremo ice stand out was its creamy texture, which was unlike the coarse and crystalline versions of early Italian ice, and which they achieved without using any dairy.
No dairy at all in any of the flavors. You assume it's a cream ice, it's got milk in it, it's got dairy in it. No dairy in it. It's just our recipes that make the product turn out the way it does.
Can't say nothing but the best. Always been eating it, and as you can see, still eating it.
And we get a lot of input from the neighborhood, where it used to be more like pistachio, lemon, orange. That's more traditional Italian flavor, and that was what the neighborhood was. Now, as the neighborhood changes, we see we're selling more mango, pina colada, more of the tropical fruits.
I'm here all the way from Ohio to taste this. This is great.
Overwhelmed by the praise, I couldn't wait to get my share of the iconic Benfaremo Italian ice. Out of their 36 flavors, I decided to try their cult classic, peanut butter, which contains chunks of peanuts throughout. But first, their most popular flavor, the namesake, lemon ice.
Lemon Ice King.
Lemon. Lemon is lemon.
It comes in the form of a rose. All right, so here we go. This is truly amazing. On a humid day like this in New York City, this is exactly what I wanted to taste right now. This tastes like fresh lemons, but also it's sweet too. So if you're a sweet tooth like me, you would love this. But if you're having Italian ice for the first time, you are gonna feel kind of like prickles on your tongue, but they're refreshing prickles because it's just like the coldness of the ice that's really so refreshing. Do you guys wanna try some? You're gonna have to come to Lemon Ice King. This is Lemon Ice King of Corona's newer flavor. It is the peanut butter ice. It's become a hit amongst the community and a lot of people around New York. So I'm really excited to try this out. This is the one that I saw on social media that people were raving about. So here you go. I really cannot believe that dairy is not in this because this tastes so smooth and just like any peanut butter ice cream that I've had in the past.
Again, whatever flavor you're aiming at, you're gonna find that it's the best you've had.
The 75-year-old recipe and larger window operation remain loyal to its owner and neighborhood as Vinny and Mike continue to hire local kids to scoop out Italian ice.
We're part of the neighborhood. We grew up here, we grew up with the store. Guys, people that come up here, and now I grew up with these kids. Now they're coming up with their kids, and it's like, you realize how old you're getting, But again, you realize the strength of the institution, if you will, right? That we're still here, still going strong, and hopefully we're here for another 100 years.
This is a story of how one family took gelato to a small southern Italian town 180 years ago and gave it a home. The family recipe calls for only 3 ingredients.
Latte, zucchero e uova. Anche se poi ogni gusto ha una componente di ingredienti diversi. C'è dove ci vanno più uova, più zucchero, meno zucchero, in base sempre allo stesso quantitativo di latte.
Gelato al mocambo has been made this way since 1840. It's all thanks to Uncle Luigi, who brought the art of gelato making from the royal courts of Naples to his hometown, Ruvo, which has been synonymous with gelato ever since.
E oggi ti farò in realtà anche un po' lavorare.
Va bene, dai, mi devo rimboccare le mani. Ok, ma cosa devo fare? Devo girare?
Devi mescolare perfettamente insieme lo zucchero. Adesso è facile, te lo dico.
Ok, aggiungiamo altro zucchero. Che dici? Oh, qua...
Troppo a Claudia, si stacca il braccio, cioè te lo dico.
ma non ero preparata.
The original 1840 recipe, which is called the King's Cream, has been joined by 7 other flavors: pistachio, almond, chocolate, quince, nougat, gianduja, and hazelnut. All ingredients are seasonal, and that is why your go-to winter flavor here will never be, say, strawberry, but almond. This flavor in particular is made with a homemade almond butter, which is actually grinding before our eyes as we speak.
Questa è una mandorla locale, quindi siamo a Ruvo, siamo in Puglia, terra di olio, di vino e soprattutto di mandorle. Questa in realtà è una delle migliori varietà, una genco, abbastanza molto profumata.
Si sente?
Quello in particolare è una lavorazione che ne abbiamo cominciato ieri mattina, quindi sono passate all'incirca 24 ore e per essere al punto ottimale ne dovrebbero passare all'incirca 45 di lavorazione. Noi adesso diciamo lo faremo con una pasta un po' più ruvida, infatti dopo il gelato che andremo a degustare avrà una caratteristica un po' più, come dire, tradizionale, con questa ruvidità marcata, però è anche il bello diciamo di vedere le varie granulometrie della lavorazione. Poi...
Sì, si vedono un po' i granuli delle mandorle.
Assaggia, dimmi tu.
Vai. Adoro, buonissimo.
È un prodotto 100% naturale, proprio stai mangiando una premuta di mandorle.
Sì, si sentono i granuli, ma non tantissimo. Questa macina ti ipnotizza.
Riprendi il lavoro.
We're now finally adding that third and final ingredient, milk.
Adesso ammorbidiamo un po' l'impasto. Quindi per ogni gusto devi
Ogni gusto, il suo
lavorarlo.
pentolone. La ricetta della crema d'areppo in particolare ha un buco di aromi e spezie segreto, ce lo passiamo in famiglia da 120 anni, quindi insomma questo è anche uno dei motivi per cui non ho
Oggi
potuto...
non stiamo facendo quel gusto.
Non stiamo facendo quel gusto, però stiamo facendo qualcosa di tipicamente locale, quindi appunto utilizzando una mandorla nostrana.
But we are not finished yet. First, we need to cook it. And if you think that you could just skip this step, please keep watching. Giuliana feels pretty strongly about it.
Perché è importante la cottura?
Allora, tu sei italiana. È come dire, apri la bottiglia di passata di pomodoro e mettila direttamente, condisci la pasta. Diciamo che la perdita dell'acqua favorisce una maggiore amalgama di sapori. Non puoi fare ricette dove prendi, mescoli tutto e metti nel congelatore. Non ha senso.
E quanto tempo rimarrà qui in cottura?
Vabbè, il tempo necessario, all'incirca andranno via quei 10 minuti.
It's now time to pour our cooked mixture in the gelato machine, which will freeze the cream and transform it into gelato.
Ma io ho sempre visto queste macchine per fare il gelato che sono orizzontali, non verticali. Cioè, cosa ha di speciale questa macchina qui?
Allora, in realtà l'hai detto tu stessa. Il cestello di raffreddamento è posto in maniera verticale. Questa in realtà è una macchina con un sistema antico. Questa in particolare ha circa quasi 50 anni e ce la teniamo abbastanza cara. È un brevetto del 29. In realtà è rimasta solamente un'azienda a farle così al mondo, in Italia soprattutto, che è la principale. Questa azienda qui invece non le produce più. Comunque tieni conto che questo tipo di miscela funziona solamente in questa tipologia di macchina. Se vado a metterla in un mantecatore orizzontale ha un effetto differente, non monta come dovrebbe. Quindi sostanzialmente questo è il miglior sistema, che poi va a simulare quello che prima questo lavoro veniva fatto a mano, quindi macchina antica per un gelato antico.
You may have been watching this for only a few minutes, but it actually took us 5 hours to make only one flavor. And while I feel for Giuliana having to do this 8 times every day for each flavor, I can't wait to taste the one I worked for today. So let's get to it. Will I be transported to 1840 with this gelato?
Adesso ti faccio assaggiare quello per cui hai lavorato quest'oggi.
Sì, ma anche l'aspetto comunque, ha l'aspetto di una crema. Sembra più uniforme.
Buono.
Claudia, lo sai che potrei assumerti?
Promossa, si è assunta.
No, buono. Mi ricorda Adesso un ricordo un po' romantico, però mi ricorda quando io e mio fratello in campagna andavamo a schiacciare le mandorle con le pietre.
You know what I just said about making one flavor taking 5 hours? Well, this tasting part was no joke either. Giuliana and Vincenzo are very serious about letting me taste every single flavor. Giuliana keeps scooping some more gelato for me, and a special mention goes to...
Questo è pistacchio.
Assaggialo.
Questo è buonissimo.
Che cos'è?
Sa, non sa di gelato di pistacchio, sa di crema di pistacchio.
I really thought we ended with a bang with pistachio, which I loved, but I may have a new favorite after all, the King's Scepter. This one takes 3 days to make and is made from Iranian saffron. Giuliana serves it in a cone filled with cream and pistachio paste. She then covers the gelato with some more cream and gold leaves.
Wow. Non credo di aver mai mangiato un gelato con questo sapore. No, veramente buono. Complimenti, questo non l'ho fatto io. Scusate, no?
No, tranquillo.
Si sta sciogliendo tutto.
We are on the journey today to find the best cheesecake in New York City.
Erin, do we like cheesecake?
I don't like anything that's white and
Creamy and especially thick and white and creamy. Like the texture looking at it.
Anyway.
A simple cheesecake recipe calls for cream cheese, sugar, and eggs. At each spot, we'll be judging based off of 3 qualities. 1, the filling. It should be smooth, creamy, and light. 2, the topping. It should add a refreshing brightness to a rich cheesecake. And 3, the crust. If there is a crust, it should add texture and flavor to the overall cheesecake.
Okay, so we are going to the Narrows. It is an icon in the city. It's been around for over 125 years.
So this place is supposed to have such a thick, creamy cheesecake. It doesn't even need a crust.
Well, we'll see about that.
I'm very intrigued. Let's go.
Let's do it.
People say Venero's is an iconic place. Having a 125-year-old history doesn't hurt.
This is what Italian life in New York was. It's the essence of an Italian family.
My definition of New York style cream cheesecake, it's got to have the Philadelphia cream cheese. So what makes our New York style cheesecake different than our competitors is that we use the freshest cream cheese, sour cream.
Sour cream provides an even richer texture and subtle tang.
Another big factor is that we don't use graham cracker. We've never used graham cracker crust. I mean, it just, to us, detracts from the flavor of the New York cheesecake.
Homemade apricot glaze is painted on top of the fresh strawberries. How are we feeling? See, when I think of New York style cheesecake, I think of this one.
Yeah, I'm like having like shallow breathing.
I hope you don't hate it.
I won't. I think it just needs, for me, like the strawberries on top and the apricot glaze, like helps balancing. I love sweet, sweet, sweet things.
Very simple, very classic, kind of understated, but still like can speak for itself. A crust will detract from the overall essence of a cheesecake.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I like that there is no crust. I feel like for a local or a tourist, they would taste this cheesecake and be like, oh, that's a great New York style cheesecake.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. If Eileen's, it's supposed to be lighter, correct? Then that may win in my book. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
The lighter, the better? Who knows?
No, I don't. So our second stop is Eileen's Special Cheesecake,
Yes.
and it is this unassuming, cute little shop in Soho.
I've heard of it. It's always super packed.
Have you been there before?
I have not been there yet.
Okay, you're in for a treat because this place has been nominated the best cheesecake, and I've been on so many different tour guides, so I hope you like it.
Well, let's go, girl.
You know, this really is a family business. Everyone asks, what sets you apart? Why do you think your cheesecake is so special? And it really is just the high quality standards that we put into it. Our parents, you know, instilled in us, and it's just who we are and what this cake means to us. Some traditional New York cheesecakes are very heavy and dense, but what makes our cheesecake a little bit different is its light creaminess. You can just keep eating it and eating it.
But can you just tell us how you make a cheesecake step by step?
There's certain
there's certain things
process we don't
we
put
don't
on.
say.
They have so many flavors here, so I can't really have a favorite, but I gotta admit, classic is number one.
We have 45 delicious flavors, and we add a flavor of the year every year. The plain and the strawberry being our most popular sellers.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that I can get so down with. I really like that one. No, I'm serious. I really like that.
What is
it's
that?
sweet and tart. And I think I just prefer more of like a fruit on my cheesecake. Like the plain is good, but this is like next level.
For someone who doesn't like cheesecake,
They should eat this.
Yeah. I like also how it tastes almost like a meringue because they whip their egg whites a lot, so
Okay.
it's fluffier and not so dense.
No, you're right. You're right. It's very, 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 very good.
And I think you get the best of both worlds. You get a lighter cream cheese that doesn't sit in you.
Yeah.
And it's still a delicious cheesecake. I
It's
mean, I can
really
see
good.
why this place is nominated as the best cheesecake in America.
And it's been packed all day.
How's the sauce?
The sauce is good. It's like not too sweet or syrupy. It's like
It doesn't taste like artificial.
no, not at all. It's real strawberries.
Do you want to split the strawberry with me?
Yeah. I love that. All right, Eileen, you changed my mind.
You like cheesecake now?
I don't know, maybe. Stop. I would definitely try more.
We'll see you at the next stop.
Woo, cheesecake.
So, Erin.
Yes.
This is our third and final stop.
It is.
Mazadar Bakery. And this place won the best cheesecake in New York. So I
dang.
hope that you will like it.
We'll see.
It includes some ingredients you wouldn't typically find in a New York style cheesecake. So hopefully that pays off.
I'm excited.
I'm
Is this it right here?
That's it.
There's so many things to eat.
Mazadar is a word in the Urdu language, which is a language that we speak in Pakistan. And it's a word that we use to describe the magic or the essence that makes something special. When I started creating a menu of pastry, one of the things I often challenged myself to do was to make things that I didn't particularly enjoy eating myself. And cheesecake was one of those things. And being in New York, it was almost a sort of a requisite. I had to have a cheesecake on a New York bakery menu. And so I started to work with one. I started to want to make one that was a little bit lighter, had more personality to it.
The cheesecake at Mazadar is definitely the best cheesecake in the city. It's light and fluffy and lemony. I've tried so many and I can't find anyone better than here.
I always like to say that things can only take what they can take at a certain point. So in adding things slowly, it builds an emulsion, it builds a smooth batter and doesn't create lumps.
What we love about lemon is that it's sort of this flavor that brightens so many different types of food. And what's nice about it is it has the ability to lift and brighten particularly fat. And because there's such a sort of a high fat content in cheesecake because of the sour cream and the cream cheese, the lemon sort of has the ability to kind of brighten and break that up quite a bit. Most New York style cheesecakes have a graham cracker crust, so we broke away from that tradition a little bit and had a chocolate crust built into it. We love the dark chocolate because it's a nice contrast to the vanilla and the lemon. It gives it sort of a really lovely balance.
I've been through a journey on the cheesecake train, and this one is looking like my stop. Like the thickness of the crust and the fact that it's chocolate, you know I love chocolate. We're just crust girls in a crust world. Cheers. It's your sweet love. Oh my God.
That's the one.
That's it. I die for this. I would eat this again. The lightness in the lemon really, really transforms it for me. I think it takes the lemon and the vanilla, take it away in my mind from being this like thick, heavy cream cheese, and it makes it more like a mousse or like a fluffy
custard.
Yeah.
But this is more dense than Eileen's.
Than Eileen's, yes. But the lemon makes it better.
This crust is great. The batter with the lemon and the vanilla bean make it a lot more palatable for people who don't like such a thick, dense, cream cheesy taste.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy. So I think we have a clear winner in your mind.
I don't know.
I'm not so sad.
I'm sad.
So this story ends with a happy ending.
I like cheesecake now. I never thought I was gonna say that. Like, huh? Who is she?
Who is she? Are you ready?
Are you? Okay. I actually don't know who you're gonna pick.
I think I know.
Oh, imagine that.
3, 2, 1. I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. That was my second, but this one's my first.
So why did you pick Mazadar?
I picked Mazadar because, I didn't like cheesecake, and they did something new for me. They did vanilla, lemon zest, chocolate crust. It really, it changed my mind. It disguised it and made it, fun and new.
I chose Eileen's because I felt like the cheesecake there stuck to what a New York style cheesecake is for me. Like you said, Mazadar, there were a lot of additional ingredients that made it taste great, but at the end of the day, a New York style cheesecake for me is something that's quite simply very plain and light and fluffy and decadent. You could finish one and you wouldn't feel weighed down.
Totally, yeah.
And the true cream cheesy flavor was done in a very well balanced way, and for that reason I picked Eileen's.
Eileen's is the classic lady, the classic cheesecake, and Mazadar is more fancy, off the beaten path. She's,
But when it comes to the best New York style cheesecake in town, it is Eileen's. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with us? Do you think that Eileen's is the best New York style cheesecake in town? Or was it Mazadar or someplace else? Let us know in the comment section below. I don't know how to end this, y'all, because I truly cannot feel my fingers.
Best thing in the menu's gotta be the cinnamon rolls. The best ever.
These are absolutely excellent. These are delicious.
Ann Sather sells a bevy of breakfast items, but people in Chicago have been coming here for the cinnamon rolls since 1945. But with the rise of bakery giants, how has this mom and pop shop stood the test of time? Let's go inside and find out. Step into Ann Sather's and you instantly feel at home, surrounded by families, friends, and boatloads of comfort food.
Just right out of the oven? Oh, you had some already. You've already got it. Oh, good, good.
The colorful diner is filled with traditional Scandinavian art, and of course, the scent of its delectable cinnamon rolls.
How can no one not have an Ann Sather's cinnamon roll unless they're from out of town?
That's Tom Tunney, a Chicago native and current owner of Ann Sather Restaurants. Featured on Rachel Ray and Food Network, Ann Sather's gooey made-from-scratch creations are served hot from the oven and drizzled with frosting that oozes onto customers' plates. On average, the team at Aunt Sather prepares about 60 cinnamon rolls per tray and sells about 100 trays daily. That's 6,000 cinnamon rolls a day.
And you know what? I still eat them. Okay, so you say, oh, you must be sick of them. And I'm like, no, no, no. As they come out of that oven, there's nothing better. Well, I'll go for a period and not eat them, and then all of a sudden I'll have 4 in a day.
And there's a special ingredient behind the much-loved cinnamon rolls. Tom found out the secret recipe when he took over the restaurant from its namesake, Aunt Sather. In 1981, Aunt Sather, the restaurant's founder, was looking for a successor who would continue serving homemade Swedish and Scandinavian recipes to the Lakeview community. At the time, Tom was a 24-year-old looking to own his own restaurant. The two hit it off and sold the restaurant to Tom, and now Tom carries on her legacy. For the last 35 years, Tom has kept his promise, learning every aspect of the trade, from cooking to cleaning tables to serving, all while letting Ann's spirit prevail by maintaining good food, good friends, and good conversation.
Ann's was this oasis, they used to call it. It was a place where families could come, where you bring your children, and with the expansion of our restaurant into different parts of the city, it has really become a household name in the city of Chicago. The cinnamon roll is a 75-year tradition of Aunt Sather's. It's when we incorporated the cinnamon roll into the breakfast menu that it took off on wildfire.
According to Tom, the recipe behind the belly-warming Chicago breakfast staple took years to perfect.
The base of the cinnamon roll is a yeast product. So what we have to do is we have a dry mix that's made specifically for us that I cannot tell you the ingredients.
No, not at all?
No. It's a very complex little formula that's been in the Aunt Sather family for probably 30 or 40 years.
The pillowy, soft rolls actually start off as that special dry mix, which is combined with lukewarm water and yeast.
Yeast product needs to rise and fall, and then it rolls out into this product, which is what makes it gooey and delicious.
And so the ingredients that you can tell us?
Well, it's mostly flour, and it has wheat flour, it has soda. Actually, if you look in our Aunt Sather cookbook,
yeah,
they'll have the ingredients.
All the ingredients. So you can make your cinnamon rolls at home.
I left one out just for the heck of it. So this is ready to put into the pot. What will happen is, given the right amount of time and patience, this is going to double in size. So I'm flattening the dough, yes, and I am going to spread it so that I can put these great ingredients in it. Try to even it out because you want your cinnamon roll to be, to look like it's uniform. First step is the margarine, soft margarine. Obviously you don't want to put too much because then it'll get too sloppy as far as I'm concerned. All right, next step is the cinnamon, pure cinnamon. Next is the mix of brown sugar and cinnamon, maybe a little bit of white sugar should be in there too.
So why did you add more cinnamon again?
Because the customers said, they asked us, they said, it's a cinnamon roll, we don't taste the cinnamon. The best thing to do in our business is listen to the customer. Especially when around the country in the 80s, there was many cinnamon roll bakeries. Just bakeries for that, including an Aunt Sather bakery concept of our own.
In fact, in the 1980s, cinnamon roll shops began opening up across the country. Bakery giants like Cinnabon and TJ Cinnamons got their start in 1985. And in Chicago alone, there were already a dozen specialty cinnamon roll shops. But even with all that competition, Aunt Sather's cinnamon rolls not only survived, but thrived.
The best thing you could ever eat when you roll right out of bed is a cinnamon roll from Aunt Sather's in Chicago.
The cinnamon inside there, I don't know what they do to it, but it just is absolutely amazing. It has to be a secret recipe.
To achieve the layers of cinnamon, Tom and his team roll the dough in a diagonal direction.
Obviously, it's called a cinnamon roll for a reason, okay? And we want to make sure that we have somewhat of a uniform width here.
The addition of brown sugar and butter to the mix allows the pastry bun to become gooey and sticky after it's heated in the oven.
We're arranging them to be ready to be baked off. Try to space them out because they're going to rise. This is a perfect cinnamon roll in the sense that there's enough There's enough rolls in the cinnamon roll, no pun intended.
Once in the oven, the rolls bake at 350 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes.
It's about double the size of what you see on the original plane. Let's see what this one is doing.
Next up, the delectably sticky frosting.
For the glaze to glaze over, it's just coming fresh out of the oven because that creates that drip that goes over the side of the rolls. If it's cold, it just sits on top of it. It doesn't have the glaze effect that you want. The frosting, I think, is unique. I think what makes ours different is we use evaporated milk.
These cinnamon rolls are my favorite because they're not overwhelmingly sweet. This is a good balance. So you've got a nice blend of the cinnamon, the dough, and just a little bit of the frosting.
They're very warm, always fresh. I'm not sure I've been anywhere else that has cinnamon rolls at that size either, so that's pretty, always good. Hi, buddy.
Favorite thing about the cinnamon rolls, to get 2 of them. That has to be the best part of it, double the trouble.
The best way to eat a cinnamon roll is, I'll say it in the negative, not with a fork. So pick it up, get your hands messy, and your mouth messy, because the frosting will go all over your face.
So I just picked up the cinnamon roll, and you can see the craft of the cinnamon roll itself. Look at that winding circle of cinnamon. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a big bite. Tom said you shouldn't use a fork or knife, so just commit to it. Amazing. This is phenomenal. I feel like I've fulfilled a craving I've had for the past 2 years. I want to say the frosting is probably the best part of this cinnamon roll. I know some may say other things, but I really enjoy the frosting. I think it perfectly complements the cinnamon roll, and it just is so different than other frostings I've had before. If you're done with one, you don't have to wait for another. It's waiting for you right here. It's very fresh, it's soft, it's fluffy, and it has a tiny bit of a crunch on the outside, which is really nice.
This is the premier product, and this is what is our logo. This is what people come for. They come for the food, they take home cinnamon rolls for sure.
And Sather is not only famous for its homemade cinnamon rolls, but also the wholesome and warm hospitality that reverberates throughout the restaurant.
The best thing about Ann Sather's, aside from the cinnamon rolls, is just how much of a kind of community place this really is in the Lakeview neighborhood.
It's tradition, it's comfort food, it's comfort people, it's people that know your name and know your family, and it's very rewarding to see that.
Hours before customers fill the stools at the U-shaped countertop, bakers at Peter Pan are busy making donuts.
This is definitely a Greenpoint staple. People wait here for 45 minutes, an hour just to get a donut.
I got a donut. It's no lie, it's no lie. Bakers come to work at midnight to make dough from scratch. They start with the shop's popular yeast donuts, since those take the longest to make. Bakers measure out flour and sugar with a scale before dumping each ingredient into an industrial steel mixer. The mixer blends flour, sugar, milk, butter, and eggs. On a typical day, bakers go through about 40 pounds of flour to make 1,000 donuts.
The only machine left back there is to mix it, but everything is done by hand. You saw he was hand cutting every donut and hand glazing them, and it makes a difference.
Bakers roll the dough about an inch thick. Any thinner and the donuts will shrink too much when they fry. Then they cut the donut into perfect rounds, some with holes and others without, depending on whether the donut has a filling. Now the donuts head into the proofing cabinet to rise. Typically, yeast donuts need about 3 hours to rise, which is why bakers start their shift overnight. But the timing can change based on a few factors, like the weather that day. In the winter, Peter Pan's donuts can take up to 4.5 hours to rise. But when it's hot or humid, it's much less than that.
Summertime with the humidity, I mean, you don't even have to put them in the proof box. You know, as you're cutting them and leaving them on the rack, they're proofing.
About 35 donuts fry until they turn golden brown, about a minute on each side. Yeast donuts head directly to the glazing station. But cake donuts need to cool for a few minutes, otherwise they'll break apart. Bakers line up 10 donuts on a long rod and submerge them into a thick honey glaze. They hang the rod on 2 metal hooks because
if you just leave it flat, it sort of sits on the top, and it's too sweet. This way, it really runs off the whole donut.
There's blueberry buttermilk, sourdough, and the shop's best sellers, honey dipped and red velvet cake flavors.
I don't think you can come here and not get a glazed donut. It's just like your classic go-to donut, not too much going on, simple, airy, but yet filling and glazed like just as well as all the others. That glaze is everything. That's the best part about this donut, to be real, to be honest. The red velvet's good. I love red velvet flavoring, but the glaze is like such an even coat and thin. It looks like they're soaking the glaze onto each donut, but it's actually just like a thin coating that dries perfectly on top, and it spreads so well throughout.
Both the classics and the new varieties have drawn in tourists, celebrity customers, and movie crews over the last 70 years. But it's the faithful locals that keep the shop so busy.
I've been in the neighborhood for 8 years. I have breakfast here 3 times a week at least.
This donut is just so good, and it's not just for the police. It's for the mail lady.
Jim Nakano opened the Donut Man in the spring of 1972, but it wasn't until 2 years later that one fruit changed his business.
Well, the reason we got into it is my wife says, let's go for the American dream. In about 1974, a friend of ours who grew strawberry, because this area was all strawberries. On the other side of the hill, you know, that was all strawberries. But in 74, he came to me and said, Jim, you got to come up with the strawberry donut. He said, I got so much. He said, I'll supply you whatever you want. So we said, okay. And I had another friend that said, I'll help you make the glaze and everything, because he had a bakery and all that. As soon as we tried that, we realized that we had a good product. You could use it for the morning breakfast. It's a good snack, lunch, or dinner dessert.
The shop makes hot donuts 24/7. They use potato flour and live yeast when prepping batches of dough. How long the dough proofs and fries for depends on the temperature and humidity inside the shop each day. The team mixes fresh strawberries with homemade strawberry jelly filling before stuffing a generous amount into the donut. The strawberry donuts are only served from February to September, so we had to see what all the hype was about.
We're gonna get some donuts. We're gonna get some donuts. They have the classic chocolate swirls. They have their peach donuts. But I'm here for this bad boy, the strawberry donuts. So a lot of people drive here from all over California to try these donuts. There's been a line out the door since we came. So let's dig in. I'm just gonna go for this one. They're all gonna make a mess, whatever. Ooh, yes, it is glazy. This is gonna be a mess. Look at that. It's like a burger full of strawberries. But it is good. The donut's nice and crispy on the outside, which is pretty good. I love how it has kind of this like good texture on the bottom, if that makes sense. But it's not too sweet. It's not like an overwhelmingly sweet donut. My biggest piece of advice is use a fork. Don't do what I did.
Not only is the Donut Man famous among locals, but we met people from all over the state who came down to try it for themselves.
Well, it was bookmarked on my Yelp for 3 years, so I was like, one day I'm gonna go. Came to Torrance, and then from Torrance we came to Glendora. And we're like, where's Glendora? Definitely gonna get the fresh peach and the fresh strawberries, and then I'll see what else is on the menu.
I've been coming here for years. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are on our road trip to San Diego, so.
Yeah, a little
and
road trip food.
We're craving donuts.
When's the first time you had one? Honest? When I moved here, probably 22 years ago. Oh my gosh. If you eat it with a fork, you don't blend all the flavors.
That's true. Never thought
This
of it.
is a true blend of all the flavor.
I remember coming here in high school after like the pep rallies and stuff. People would come and hang out in that parking lot back there, and so it's definitely like the go-to area in Glendora, I would say.
We're very lucky because when I started this store, I told my wife we wouldn't be that big of a store because we're such a small community and all that. I would say 60 to 70% of our customers come from more than 7 miles away, and that's unusual. And then I get big-headed when you go somewhere, maybe, and then somebody says, "Oh, I know you run the Donut Man," like that. So those are my favorite things.
We got an inside look at how Bova's Bakery puts the heart into its cannoli.
We're in a unique location. We're not on Hanover Street. We're on Salem Street, where a lot of people that have been in the area for a while still come back to. It's not the exact tourist location.
Bova's Bakery was founded in 1926 by Italian immigrant Antonio Bova. The shop is covered wall to wall with Italian food and sweets, but the cannoli is by far the top seller.
My name's Dominic. I'm a great-grandson of Antonio Bova.
I'm John Cluse, great-grandson of Antonio Bova as well. You know, Dominic and I, being fourth generation, we know how important a family business is. Still having our hands in the business. A lot of businesses may have name recognition and may sell out, and very few people have actual family members here on a daily basis.
The bakery offers 8 cannoli flavors ranging from traditional to new age.
So what makes our cannolis the best is it comes from the heart. We put passion into our cannolis, and we're constantly filling our cannolis. So no matter when you come, our cannolis are always fresh.
This is key because Bova's Bakery is open 24 hours. At night, lines go out the door.
Oh, cannolis. Oh, manon.
Wow. This is so good.
The traditional filling starts with a base made with whole milk ricotta. To ensure a smooth consistency, Dominic makes sure the sugar is mixed thoroughly before he adds the whole milk.
I've just had the filling, and I already know it's gonna be a great cannoli.
The ricotta filling is separated to make different cannoli fillings, like Nutella and pistachio.
We're getting another taste test. Pistachio. That flavor is so nice. I'm in trouble. I don't think I'll be able to pick a favorite when I try these 3 later on. The fillings are all so good.
Other new cannoli flavors include creme brulee, cream caramel mixes with the ricotta filling, topped with Heath bars.
So I think we get a lot of our cannoli flavor ideas. I think a lot of it comes from our help, right? If they go to the store, they're picking out flavors that they like. So a lot of our help will make recommendations, and customers will make recommendations on flavors that they like.
Well, a definitely unique cannoli would be the Florentine. We make our Florentines with almonds, butter, sugar, and honey. Other places will just use a mix before they make their Florentine shells. Ours is 100% from scratch and hand rolled. You're not going to find that anywhere else other than Bova's Bakery.
Now you're going to fall in love, I know that for sure.
Our 3 most popular cannolis are the Florentine, chocolate chip, and creme brulee.
Now it was our turn to try all 3. This is a working hazard.
It's good, right? Oh, it's so good.
Everything that I said that I wanted to look for in the perfect cannoli, like everything is checked. The shell's super crunchy, ricotta filling is like super smooth and light and fluffy, not too sweet, not too grainy.
They know what they're doing here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is it.
This tastes like a legendary dessert.
She does not mess around. This thing has some weight to it. I don't know what a Florentine shell is. I assume that it's from Florence. Maybe. It's French. It's from France. I'm gonna do it. I can't do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. This whole time I've been taken on a journey because I've been eating filling for the past few hours. I thought every time I ate a different flavor, I'd be like, oh, this is great. And then I'll have the next one, I'll be like, oh, this is my favorite. And now I had the third one, and I'm gonna definitively tell you that this is my favorite. The reason being, the shells on the cannoli, the regular cannoli shells, they're more of like a vessel to hold the filling and like don't really give any additional flavor profile other than the crunchy factor texturally. This crust, it's sweet, it's nutty. Boston really knows how to make their cannolis. I can tell you that much.
Edelweiss is a petite candy store located in the heart of Beverly Hills.
We opened in 1942. The original owner was Mrs. Grace Young, and she opened the shop. It's always been in the same location. We make about 120 different varieties of handmade chocolates. There have been 5 owners of the business, and my family is the fifth owner.
We went straight to where the magic happens, starting with the gourmet marshmallows.
The original recipes that Mrs. Young started with were the marshmallows. We have 9 different varieties that we do every day, and then we have a lot of different seasonal varieties that we do. So those were her specialties.
It's not like the store-bought marshmallows at all. It's so fluffy. It's so cute. Oh, I want to talk to my food.
Edelweiss still uses some of its original machinery.
It's all original equipment. It allows us to continue the traditional art of candy making processed by hand. It's kind of hard to do that without the original equipment, so much of the equipment is older or just around 100 years old.
But they've also incorporated new automated machinery into their production. So they're still making tasty, quality chocolate, but faster. Regardless of what machinery the shop uses, they still follow traditional chocolate making techniques. That includes treats that can best be made with your hands.
Being this close to Hollywood and being here for as long as we have, you name the celebrity, the head of state, kings, queens, royalty, presidents, they've all been in this shop, they've all had our product.
The chocolate shop also inspired Lucille Ball to film the famous chocolate factory scene from I Love Lucy. Story goes that Lucy would walk through the factory to get to the front shop. One day, she saw an employee trying to keep up with the chocolates coming down the conveyor belt. Lucy witnessed chocolate flying everywhere, and a light bulb went off in her head. She later recreated the factory scene on the I Love Lucy soundstage, so obviously, I had to try it out myself too.
That is terrible. That's harder than it looks. I'm sorry, Lucy. We're both not made for chocolate.
I love this assortment. There's so much you can try. There's chocolate-covered apricots. There's lots of buttercream, lots of milk chocolate, dark chocolate. I feel like this box can satisfy anyone. This is dark chocolate filled with dark chocolate buttercream. I wasn't expecting that burst of buttercream, but I'm happy it happened. This is all peanut butter inside. This is so good. Chocolates and peanut butter, like,
There's nothing better than that.
This business, I truly believe it doesn't even belong to my family, it belongs to this community. We have customers whose families have been shopping here for 70 years. The great-grandparents brought the grandchildren, who brought their children, who now bring their children. This feels like a second home to a lot of people, and you know, that tradition is also something that we really seek to keep alive because it's so important to the community. It's a meeting area for a lot of people, and you know, we're here to make people happy and to be a part of the community and keep that tradition going.
It is cold in Little Italy today, but we're heading to one of the most famous places in this neighborhood. Ferrara's is known for tons of classic pastries, from cannolis to tiramisu to rainbow cookies, but especially strufoli around the holidays. So we want to know, why is this the go-to spot for Italian pastries in Little Italy? Let's go find out.
Ferrara's started as a gathering place for Italians on the Lower East Side. In 1892, owners Antonio Ferrara and Enrico Scopa, who were professional bakers back in Italy, decided to turn the club into a cafe. The original Cafe a Ferrara became popular among locals as one of the first and only places to serve espresso in the city. But today, customers come to Ferrara's for much more than a cup of coffee. From famous cannoli to the quintessential tricolor cookie, Ferrara's glass cases are never short of customer favorites.
The coffee is delicious, and the pastry. Whatever you choose in here is good. It's really good.
But as temperatures drop and Christmas comes closer, the coveted pastry turns to strufoli. It's a part of Italian holiday tradition to enjoy this Neapolitan dessert, which is made of little balls of puff pastry dough covered in honey and shaped into wreaths. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, bakers make 1,300 wreaths of strufoli a day.
People will walk by and understand right away what it is. I put up samples just so people can enjoy it and experience it, which this is very important to Italians.
But there's a reason customers choose a wreath from Ferrara's over other New York pastry shops. Unlike most traditional strufoli, the Ferrara's version isn't fried.
So we bake our strufoli, and a lot of people fry their strufoli. This being baked lasts longer, has less calories, and it's lighter. So the Ferrara strufoli is loved.
It's like crunchy, but not hard, and a little bit of airiness. And it's just light and sweet. And I just couldn't believe how many of these they sell. A woman walked in as we were sitting here, and she looked over and she immediately knew that this was strufoli, because this dessert is the dessert to get here around the holidays. I might have to, now that I know how to make it, get added to the table. Strufoli. And Ernest was telling us thousands and thousands, like 50,000 orders of strufoli get pushed out of here around the holidays, so that is just mind-blowing to me.
After years of success, it seemed as though nothing could get in Ferrara's way. The bakery was a true destination in the neighborhood and one of the oldest remnants left of Little Italy. But in February 2018, an unexpected turn of events threatened the shop's 125-year history.
My sister calls me at 7 o'clock in the morning and says, the store's on fire.
Flames broke out around 7:30 at Angelo's of Mulberry Street.
These buildings are very close, and someone flicked a cigarette between the buildings, and a huge fire came up. I'm like, oh my God, we're in trouble. I walk in, and everybody that's in the kitchen is standing on the sidewalk. And I get to the kitchen, and there's fire coming in. There's nothing I could do. We had to rebuild a third of the bakery.
Fortunately, everyone was safe at Ferrara's, and many of the baked goods in the glass cases survived. The bakery only lost 2 hours of business, but the event had a lasting effect on Ernest and his team.
It was like a shift in reality. We've never had a problem, and then all of a sudden, you're walking down the block and you're saying, this is still there.
Ferrara's is in fact still in its original location from the 1890s, and it's still drawing in crowds for its cups of espresso and freshly baked desserts, maintaining a century-old tradition as one of Little Italy's only surviving pastry shops.
Every time we always have family visiting, we always bring them. We have to come to Ferrara's because everything is just so delicious.
So it's our 40th year of operations. It was started by Mr. and Mrs. Lee. We've been in one of the 3 or 4 original vendors left in the Granville Island Public Market. and just been sticking to the same thing that we always did, was homemade, handmade, donuts from scratch, and just keeping it fresh and original recipe from 40 years ago. It's just your good old-fashioned donuts.
The donuts are even a favorite for local celebrities, like Seth Rogen. They keep a box reserved for him every day. He's known to pop in unannounced, maybe even with a friend. That friend is David J.
I've never had donut holes fresh out of the fryer and glazed. Cheers. Oh no.
The donuts speak for themselves, but we just appreciate the community behind the market and the community behind this business here. So family-run business. And then the honey dip donut speaks for itself. So amazing donut, just melts in your mouth.
Head baker Alvin George has worked at Lee's for over 35 years, and he was even childhood friends with manager Carol.
Like 4 donuts a day.
And then you kind of have to tone it down. Yeah, I feel like if I were working here, half of these would be gone by now.
The famous honey dip donuts are fried fresh, and Alvin quality tests them daily. I wanted to see if I had what it takes, but I learned it's best to leave donut making to the professionals.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than that. I feel so fortunate right now to try this donut, like so fresh. It's like steaming still. It's so fluffy. Do you see those air pockets? Like I feel like I'm just biting into air. Okay, I need to stop because I know that I'm gonna probably have to eat a few more.
Then it was time for the big mama donut. She's fried, she's glazed, and she's filled with jelly, much like me after this shoot.
It's so crunchy. I know Seth Rogen likes his donuts filled with this jelly, but has he ever tried this behemoth of a thing? Because I think this will be his next favorite. Best donuts in Canada.
I've had kids come in here from when they were really little, and now they're parents themselves, and they bring their kids in, and it's really neat to see. We got all ages in here enjoying the donuts.
Joseph Sapp opened the Southside Ice Creamery in 1926. Since then, dessert lovers of all ages have lined up out the door from the hottest to coldest of days. Now, third-generation owner Lynn Sapp operates the ice creamery.
So Original Rainbow Cone is very unique because it's a sherbet and ice cream combination. And back in 1926, you could buy a whole plate of food for a dime. He was asking that for an ice cream cone. So that's where he came up with the 5 flavors. He had to give you some substance to the ice cream.
The cone is comprised of chocolate, strawberry, Palmer House, which is cherry walnut, pistachio, and orange sherbet.
I've been coming here for about 25 plus years. The best way to eat it is going all around and up and over and all around.
Any way you want to eat it, it's all delicious.
This cone has been around for almost 100 years, and it hasn't changed at all. So I'm expecting this to taste extremely old-timey and kind of like classic, like just American classic. I want to try all the flavors together first. It's like creamy and fruity, and you still get chocolate. I thought originally that this wasn't really gonna work because orange and chocolate and pistachio, like kind of all together, I felt like it was just gonna be a weird medley of flavors. But I mean, it's been around for a century and it's famous, so of course these flavors work, and they do.
So Original Rainbow Cone scoops about over 1,000 rainbow cones a day. The flavors have remained the same since 1926. Little things have changed, but the formula has stayed the same and the flavors are the same. Actually, there is a customer that's 100 years old and has been here since the beginning.
It's amazing to me that like this was created back in like 1926 and it still channels that inner childhood that I had back in like the early 90s, if that makes sense. This is just like nostalgia in a cone. And it just so happens to be extremely pretty and Instagram worthy.
The best ever. Oh yeah. That's so good.
You just taste good food and you eat good food and you just eat what makes you happy.